I'm Roland, a guy who died as an overworked nobody in a peaceful world and woke up as the second son of the Augustus family. Powerful nobles in a fantasy world full of magic and knights. At first, it felt like winning the lottery. Magic, long life, wealth, power. But then my older brother's soul publicly advanced to a high-rank knight, and my father officially named him the next heir. Everything would go to him. I'm just the spare, decent-looking but average in talent compared to the real geniuses among nobles. Luckily, I awakened some kind of cheat system. That gave me hope. I've been training hard for a month now. My guard Captain Mon drills me with swords daily, and I'm getting good. He says I could reach gold rank knight within 3 months. After training, I soak in a magic bath my mother prepares to speed up my progress and heal my body. I have a personal maid named Lisa who's loyal and sweet. I've been teaching her my ways since I arrived. She worries about my safety because I've decided to do something risky. Leave the family and go develop territory in a dangerous frontier called the Thorn Wasteland, full of hostile non-human races. Even a duke's heir died there before. I could stay home safe as an honorary noble, but that's a dead end for me. Today is my coming-of-age ceremony. At 18, every noble child must choose in front of witnesses a sword, meaning you go to the frontier to earn glory, or a civilization staff, meaning you stay and take whatever role the family gives you. Everyone expects me to pick the staff since I haven't even reached gold rank yet. But I have my system, and I have a plan. I knelt before my parents, looked at both choices, and felt ready. I grabbed the golden sword with my family crest without hesitation and declared my choice. I'm going to the Starry Highlands in the Thorn Wasteland to build my own territory. I planted the sword on the ground and swore loudly that I'd never disgrace my family's honor. Father laughed proudly. He was happy to see me choose the brave path. Apparently, if I'd stayed home, family rules would have limited my future anyway. And our family is no joke. We're eternal counts of the Storm Kingdom, descended from one of the 7 grand electors of the old Holy Alliance Empire. Father himself is a peak domain rank powerhouse, and my grandfather recently broke through to legendary rank. Mother got a little emotional. She straightened my collar and told me the family would always have my back, but begged me to put my safety first. I told her nobody's better at running away than me, which made her laugh. My brother's soul came over and said to write him anytime. His province isn't far from where I'm headed. My genius third brother Matthew, already gold rank at 16, offered to come help too, along with my younger brothers Paul and Robert. We chatted warmly. The original Roland actually had decent relationships with his brothers. He only died because he stubbornly tried to force awaken his bloodline power before coming of age, and the backlash killed him. That's when I took over. The older family members thought I was crazy. They whispered that the Human Alliance won't let you bring anyone above gold rank to a frontier territory, and the Thorn Wasteland has a consumption war every 5 years. Die there, and you die for nothing. Once the ceremony part ended, the banquet started properly. Music, dancers, expensive golden rose wine. I spotted Sophia, a stunning honorary noble of our family, sitting alone in a corner with her silver hair glowing under the lights. She'd caught my eye since the day I arrived in this world. I walked over and asked her to dance. She accepted, calling it a reward for my courage. Her figure was unbelievable, but I got a bit too close during the dance, and she flared her authority rank aura just enough to remind me of my place. She told me she only considers men who are at least authority rank landed nobles. I said I'd work harder. She smiled, clearly amused, and left the moment the song ended. My brothers and sister-in-law Bona teased me about it. I just shrugged and laughed it off with them. After the last guest left late at night, I went back to my room where Lisa was waiting with ice cream and clean pajamas. I told her to notify Mon and the other 2 guards to meet me in the study tomorrow morning and to sell off my pocket money stash, collectibles, and gifts in Golden Lion City. We need to start preparing to leave. Then I went to bed very, very late. In the morning, I sat in my study reading a history book about this world. The short version: thousands of years ago, Titans led all races against invading gods from another dimension. Humanity built empires, eventually got strong enough to kill a divine dragon king, which started a second war. The Titans stepped in and forced peace. Titans are born at the highest rank, absolutely unbeatable. After that, my 3 guards arrived: Mon, Holland, and Simon. I pulled out a soul oath scroll and told them to swear loyalty. They knew this was coming since last night. All three knelt and pledged their souls to follow me. I tapped each of their shoulders with my sword and activated the oath. The scroll turned into starlight and sank into their bodies. From now on, they serve me personally, not the family. Mon is a high gold rank knight. Holland and Simon are mid-gold rank. They're the strongest force I have. Though honestly, the soul oath isn't perfect. Breaking it only injures you and seals your powers for 5 years. My cheat system is way more reliable. Speaking of which, I checked my panel. I'm 18 with a max lifespan of 120 years. Silver high rank knight, almost ready to advance. My bloodline is hidden and unawakened, but also close to ready. I have 2 locked skills, scan and map, plus locked experience and army features. Everything unlocks once I get my own territory. This panel is actually from a strategy game my old company was developing. I'm the programmer who died coding it. After studying it for days, I know how it works. I gain experience by killing enemies or converting rare items. Experience lets me level up my rank and bloodline with no cap. The army feature lets me register anyone with loyalty above 60. Once registered, their loyalty never drops. They also earn experience from kills, and I can spend points to push them to their full potential. Scan lets me see anyone's stats, potential, and loyalty. Map reveals terrain I've explored and marks resources and nearby living beings. With this system plus being a transmigrator, I'm basically set. Next, I went to collect my family support package. Every noble child who chooses to pioneer gets standardized resources from their family. Higher-ranked families give more, and the Human Alliance allows up to 20% above standard. Father met me at the Stormhorse Stables, a massive ranch divided by barrier formations into sections for different magical beast ranks. He had me ride a 3rd-rank war horse, and we galloped together across the fields. At the cliff edge, he showed me the family's elite force below, the Starlight Knight Order, 5,000 authority-rank knights charging in formation like a moving metal forest. He told me he'd ordered the butler to prepare support at the highest allowed standard. He also said if things go badly, just come home. The family will always be my safe harbor. I told him I don't want to waste my life sitting around at home. I'm an Augustus too. Back in my room, Lisa had sold off all my collectibles and brought back a space ring. Total funds, 13,862 gold coins, plus 20 spell scrolls I'm keeping. I told her to pack up, we're leaving. The next day, 2 people the family assigned to me came to my study. James, my new butler, and Oliver, my military commander. Both knelt and pledged themselves. James went through the supply list, and it was incredible. The family gave me 1 million gold coins deposited in the Human Union Bank, 1,000 magic crystal cores, 100,000 magic crystal stones, 100 castle servants including builders, stable hands, maids, cooks, gardeners, and general workers, 5,000 slaves, young and strong farm and factory workers, 8,000 tons of food, enough for 6,000 people plus magical beasts for a full year, 30 magic transport wagons, 1 noble war chariot with triple barrier arrays, multiple magic element pools, a military factory setup, and 100 skilled craftsmen. Oliver, a peak gold rank knight with fiery red hair who served in the family knight order for over 10 years, covered the military side. 500 peak bronze infantry, 50 silver knights mounted on 2nd rank wind horses, 3 magic cannons, 5 crossbow vehicles that fire 10 dragon hunting bolts each, a year's worth of training potions, and full spiral steel equipment for everyone. He'd also already drafted a complete march plan, daily routes, camp locations, patrol schedules, even organized the slaves into marching formations with James. I was thrilled. I'm from the information age. I know plenty of military theory from being an internet expert, but zero practical experience. Oliver saved me. I went to inspect the troops. The 50 silver armored cavalry in full plate on their wind horses looked terrifying. 500 bronze infantry in matching armor formed a massive square. The artillery units stood behind with their cannons and crossbow vehicles. I drew my sword, gave a speech about marching into the unknown together, and they all raised their weapons, shouting loyalty to me. They did it voluntarily. These soldiers were raised and trained by the family since childhood. I didn't even need soul oaths. Once my panel unlocks, I can register them all anyway. On the first day of the second month, after a week of preparation, I said goodbye to my family and led my force of over 6,000 people away from Golden Lion Castle. The march took a full month across 1,000 kilometers. We finally reached Grand City, a massive border city of over 400 square kilometers with more than 2 million people. The walls were 20 meters high and 10 meters thick, lined with magic cannons and crossbow towers, covered in elemental runes. A mage tower in the city center shot light into the sky, and huge factory chimneys poured out smoke that mixed with colorful magical light. I split the group. Oliver stayed outside with the main force to camp, while I took James, my guards, and the Silver Cavalry into the city. The gate soldiers recognized my family crest immediately and cleared the way. A squad captain named Moore greeted us and offered to lead us to a noble estate inside the city. I told James to tip him 2 gold coins. As we rolled through, I noticed Moore sending a soldier off with a quiet message, telling someone called Steward Barren that the Augustus family's pioneer team had arrived. We arrived at the noble estate, a nice place with gardens, a lawn, and a small artificial lake. I told the estate manager Edmund to settle my people and prepare food, then sent James out to investigate local prices for grain, weapons, and slaves, plus the latest news about the ash mineral wilds. While relaxing, I practiced meditation. The original Roland's mage talent was rated low by the family, worthless compared to his legendary knight bloodline. But with my cheat system, once I reach apprentice level, I'll be the first human on the Titan continent to dual class as both knight and mage. Double holy rank. Just thinking about it gets me excited. That evening, James came back with big news. There's a magic crystal mine at Black Gold Ridge. The Starlight United Commerce Guild confirmed it's real. Every merchant guild in Grand City is waiting to see who registers that territory. The adventurer who originally found the mine disappeared a month ago. James paid 100 gold coins for this information. Money well spent. Next morning, I rode to the Kingdom Pioneer office. The place was huge. 8 guards at the gate all knelt when they saw my crest, shouting a formal greeting to an eternal noble. Crowds gathered to watch, and reporters started recording with magic devices. That's the privilege of being from a top family. Inside, I met the registration manager, a knight named Barren. He was surprisingly friendly, which felt wrong. In novels, these officials are supposed to make things difficult, so you have to bribe them. Plus, why would a noble work as a lowly registration clerk? In this world, even the smallest noble title is incredibly hard to earn. You need military achievements and high combat rank, verified by the Human Alliance. He handed me a magic scroll to fill out and showed me a map of available territories. He pointed to Wolffang Ridge and Nort Hills, resource-rich areas with good land. But I noticed Black Gold Ridge was marked as resource-poor on the map. I immediately understood the trick. Someone falsified the records to keep people away from the mine. I played dumb and asked about rumors of a magic crystal mine discovery. Barren laughed it off, saying it was baseless gossip. If such a mine existed, big nobles would have claimed it long ago. I nodded along, asked more about the other territories, let him think I was convinced. Then I smiled and told him to save those nice territories for someone else. As an eternal noble, I should face challenges head-on. I picked Black Gold Ridge. His face went pale. He tried to talk me out of it, warning me it was resource-poor and near Hyena Man tribal territory. I didn't budge. I wrote Black Gold Ridge on the scroll, and the moment I finished, it turned into starlight and flew through the wall toward the Mage Tower to be transmitted to the capital. Barren told me I was being reckless. I stared him down and told him the Augustus name isn't just for show. I'll see for myself how poor Black Gold Ridge really is. Then I walked out with my guards, leaving him standing there looking sick. What I didn't know was that right after I left the registration office, Barren went straight to the city administrator, a guy named Philip who works for the Spencer Count family. They'd been planning to give Black Gold Ridge to some marquis's son named Griffin, and they'd already taken money for it. Since I registered first, they couldn't undo it legally, so Philip came up with a nasty plan. Send spies disguised as smugglers to the Hyena Man tribes near Black Gold Ridge, show them magic crystal ore, and tell them a weak human lord is coming to settle nearby. The idea is to get the Hyena Men to attack me, wipe me out, and then swoop in to claim the territory afterward. They also ordered their mining company people to pull out and cover their tracks so I wouldn't find the mine quickly. Meanwhile, I was busy shopping. I went to Slave Street, which was nothing like what I'd imagined. It was clean and well-organized, with spacious buildings and proper auction platforms. This world has unique rules about slavery set by the Human Alliance. Nobles have absolute rights. Free citizens' lives and property are protected, and slaves have a guaranteed path to freedom. Either create 10 to 100 times their own value for their master, or marry another slave and raise 4 children to adulthood. Most nobles set the value requirement impossibly high, pushing slaves to pick the child option instead. The result is a constantly growing slave population, which some nobles actually profit from by selling the surplus. I walked into a big slave trading company run by a fat manager named Doug. I told him I wanted 500 mining slaves and 2,000 farm slaves. He tried to overcharge me. 18 gold for miners, 9 for farmers, way above the prices James had found. I started walking out. He chased after me. I threw out my real offer, 10 gold per miner, 5 per farmer. He accepted immediately, which told me I'd still offered too much. I warned him not to give me weak ones. He promised quality and even offered a 1-to-1 male-to-female ratio instead of the usual 2-to-1, knowing that as a frontier lord I'd need population growth. Smart move on his part. He's betting on long-term business. I told him he'd get plenty of future orders. I sent Simon to fetch James and have all the slaves transported to the camp outside the city, then told Oliver we're leaving first thing tomorrow morning. I briefly considered buying some non-human slaves too, but then realized, why pay when I can capture them for free in the frontier? After that, I headed to the Noble District to pick up the grain and gold coins the family deposited for me at the Storm Commerce Guild and the Human Union Bank. I went to the Storm Commerce Guild first to pick up the grain my family stored there. The place was incredible, royal-owned, covered in magic crystal lights, full of gleaming magic machines. The manager Leon had everything ready, and I arranged for Holland to guide the delivery to our camp. Then I asked to see farming and mining machines. Leon excitedly showed me a top-of-the-line all-in-one farming machine from the Etheria Empire, plows, plants, and harvests, handles 180 acres a day with just 2 workers. I asked the price. 50,000 gold coins. That's enough to buy a small town. A regular free citizen earns about 6 gold a year. That machine costs over 8,000 years of wages. I told him to show me something reasonable. He brought out 2 models made by Princess Elizabeth's company, a Type 1 plow machine for 500 gold and a Type 3 harvester for 800. I countered with 300 and 500. He nearly lost it. After some back and forth, we settled on 400 per plow and 600 per harvester. I ordered 20 of each to be delivered with the grain. After the shopping was done, I finally had some free time. I told Lisa to guard my door and to start calling me Master instead of Young Master, since we're no longer at the family estate. Then I sat down to practice meditation, trying to awaken mage abilities. In this world, once you awaken a knight's heart and form a battle energy seed, the mage path is supposed to be permanently closed. But I figured my cheat system might let me break that rule in dual class. I was wrong. I'd been trying for over a month now. I entered the meditation state, drifted in darkness, and saw countless elemental particles flickering around me. I reached for them with my consciousness, trying to pull them into my mental sea. They bounced around like hyperactive children, refusing to be caught. I got frustrated, tried harder, failed harder. Sweat soaked my collar. When I finally gave up and opened my eyes, I had to face the truth. This isn't a novel where the main character effortlessly masters everything. Having a cheat system makes success easier. It doesn't make me invincible. I need to stop being arrogant and drop the fantasy of being an all-powerful transmigrator. I checked my panel. The only quest still says, obtain territory to unlock full system functions. Incomplete. Looks like I need to actually reach Black Gold Ridge first. Tomorrow, we leave. No more delays. On March 3rd, we left Grand City at dawn. The road got rough fast. Once we left the Kingdom Highway built with earth magic, we hit dirt paths where the wagons kept sinking into mud. I had the 20 plow machines lead the column to flatten the road, with the cargo wagons in the middle and harvesters in the rear. That helped, but progress was still slow. A week later, we entered Moon-Gazing Valley, a narrow pass with steep cliffs blocking the sun on both sides. Something about it felt wrong. Then explosions ripped through the front of the column. Magic trap scrolls buried in the ground detonated one after another. The lead plow machine had its treads blown apart. Over 100 slaves walking near the front went down. 80-something dead on the spot, another 20 with limbs blown off. I jumped out of my chariot, furious. I ordered the artillery to blast the entire valley floor ahead of us. 3 magic cannons fired simultaneously, sending beams of energy tearing through the ground. Every hidden trap scroll detonated in a chain of massive explosions, leaving dozens of scorched craters. Just when everyone started to relax, the ground began shaking. Metal claws burst from the dirt. 33 third-rank digging puppets, mining machines repurposed as weapons. They had spinning blades on their backs and charged straight at the nearest slaves. I called Oliver. He didn't hesitate. He led the 50 silver cavalry in a charge, and they unleashed a legion technique called Wave. All 50 knights channeled their battle energy together into a massive transparent force wave that slammed into the puppets, crushing and compressing them. Then the cavalry rode right through, cutting every puppet to scrap metal with their enchanted greatswords. Oliver himself leaped into the air and split the last 5 with a single golden energy slash. The puppet operators inside were killed too. These were mining machines, not war machines. They never stood a chance against trained extraordinary knights. When the dust cleared, Oliver dragged over a survivor, a man wearing a Grand Mining Company uniform, still clutching a half-activated invisibility scroll he never got to use. Oliver threw him at my feet. He'd kept one alive for questioning. The captured man was thrown to the ground and started begging immediately, smashing his forehead on the rocks until blood ran down his face. He claimed he wasn't actually from Grand Mining. He pulled off a magic face-changing mask covered in runes. Mon confirmed it was a real magic item. His real name was Lamb, an adventurer. He and a friend had discovered the magic crystal mine at Black Gold Ridge first. They split up. His friend went to sell the information while Lamb stayed behind. But instead of his friend returning, a Grand Mining airship showed up. His friend had been dealt with. Lamb escaped, used his mask to infiltrate the mining company, and spent a month looking for a chance at revenge. Then they gave him this assignment: slow down my arrival at Black Gold Ridge and cause as much damage as possible for a bigger reward. He told me Grand Mining was already operating a secret mine in Ironwood Forest on my territory and preparing to pull out before I arrived. I was furious. These people were stealing from land that was legally mine. Lamb offered to lead me to their secret mining site and also to a hidden stash of treasure he and his friend had buried on Black Pine Plain. I told him if he cooperated, he'd live. If he tried anything, I'd find his family and turn them all into mincemeat. I sent Simon with soldiers to retrieve the hidden treasure and Lamb to guide them. Then James reported the casualties. Over 150 slaves dead or seriously wounded, plus 20 more with minor injuries from the stampede. The lightly injured could recover, but the seriously wounded were a problem. I couldn't waste precious healing scrolls on slaves. Those scrolls can only be made by archmages and are sold exclusively to nobles. I told James to handle it. He understood without me spelling it out. I had to remind myself that in this world, slaves are property, not fully recognized as people. If I've crossed over into this reality, I need to play by its rules. And the ones truly responsible for these deaths are the bastards at Grand Mining. My hatred for them only deepened. We set up camp. My noble tent went up first, an octagonal pavilion embroidered with the family crest in gold thread, spacious enough for 20 people. I called in Oliver, James, and Mon. These 3, my military commander, my butler, and my guard captain, are my core team for now. I told them to sit down and share their thoughts on the situation. Lisa brought everyone coffee, and we sat down to plan. Mon suggested slowing down and sending scouts ahead. Oliver disagreed. If the enemy had more tricks, they'd have used them all at once during the ambush. The mining company's operation can't be that big since they were trying to stay hidden. He was more worried about hostile pioneer lords in the area. James, surprisingly angry, wanted to catch every thief and hang them, then file a complaint with the kingdom's pioneer department. I made my decision. Oliver would prepare the troops for marching. Tonight, I'd ride ahead with the 50 silver cavalry, Oliver, Holland, and Simon to hit Ironwood Forest and deal with Grand Mining personally. James was worried about my safety, but But I reminded him I'm a high silver knight with a stack of magic scrolls, scrolls that only nobles can buy, and every one of them is powerful. He calmed down after that. I left Mon in charge of protecting the main column with the infantry. I told him and James to use the magic cannons without hesitation if any pioneer lord caused trouble. After they left, I sat alone doing some mental preparation. I can't be a ranged mage, so it's time to pick up the sword and fight on horseback. I've always known this day would come. I'm nervous, but more than that, I'm resolved. On this continent, only strength protects what's yours. Lisa was worried. I held her and promised I'd come back safe. That evening, Simon returned from recovering Lamb's hidden stash, over 30,000 gold coins worth of wealth, including 15,000 in actual gold and the rest in salt, sugar, iron, and other supplies. Not bad at all. Then I had a devious idea. Lamb has been roaming these wilds for years and knows the terrain and local powers. I could use him not just as a guide, but have him lead soldiers disguised as bandits to raid merchant caravans and rival pioneers. Whatever Lamb steals has nothing to do with me, right? I caught myself laughing out loud and noticed Simon staring at me confused. I quickly composed myself. I'm still getting used to being a lord. Underneath, I'm still the same restless office worker who died at his desk. At midnight, I rode out with Oliver, Holland, Simon, and all 50 silver cavalry. Without the slow caravan dragging us down, the war horses were unbelievably fast. We covered in 1 hour what took the full column a week. We reached the Verdant River, the natural border between territories. On the other side lay Black Gold Ridge, my land, the foundation of everything I'll build in this world. Oliver told me Ironwood Forest was just past the river. I gave the order to cross. The massive war horses swam the 20-meter-wide river easily and climbed onto the far bank. The instant my feet touched Black Gold Ridge soil, my panel appeared on its own. The quest status changed to complete, my cheat system fully activated. I pulled up my panel the moment it unlocked. Everything was live now, skills, map, army roster, all of it. The army tab showed 736 people eligible for registration. I added them all at once and started checking individual stats. Lisa has no combat class, but has potential to reach rank 5, with 95 loyalty. James is a mid-bronze knight with rank 5 potential, loyalty 90. Mon, my guard captain, is a high gold knight with rank 7 potential. Holland, Simon, and Oliver all have rank 7 potential too. Every core member is above 90 loyalty. That means die-hard devotion. All soldiers are above 80, which the system classifies as deeply loyal and nearly impossible to turn traitor. Once registered, loyalty never drops. The minimap appeared in the upper right of my vision. It automatically records terrain within 1 kilometer, and the range grows as I get stronger. I show up as a gold dot. My loyal people appear as blue dots. The darker the blue, the higher the loyalty. 1 green dot stood out. That was Lamb, loyalty under 60, but no hostile intent. I called him over. He crawled to me and kissed my boots. I asked if he hated me for taking everything he had. He said no. He blamed Grand Mining for lying to him. They told him I was just some ordinary pioneer noble, not the son of an eternal count family. If he'd known, he would have fled with his mask long ago. That moment taught me something real about how deeply the great noble families dominate this world. Even after I robbed him, he genuinely didn't dare resent me. I offered him a place under me. He swore a soul oath without hesitation, going from prisoner to sworn follower in an instant. His dot turned light blue on my map. I scanned him. Loyalty 63, high bronze rank, potential to reach rank 5. Worth noting, in this world nobles can also check people's potential with special instruments, but almost nobody actually reaches their limit due to injuries, personality, and bottlenecks. My panel ignores all that and pushes people straight to their theoretical maximum. I told him his new job would be playing bandit. His brain visibly froze. I cut him off before he could protest. That's for later. Right now, lead us to the Grand Mining base. We rode on. The mini-map updated constantly as we moved, showing everything within a kilometer. We entered Ironwood Forest, named for the incredibly durable ironwood trees. Furniture and buildings made from them last a century with a coat of sealant. Nice resource to have on my territory. Inside the forest, several winding paths appeared. Lamb explained these were fake trails Grand Mining had stomped out to mislead people. Their real camp was beside a small hill on the right side of the forest, and they used small magic airships to get in and out. I had everyone dismount and advance on foot. Using my map, I spotted and dealt with 3 hidden sentries along the way. After half an hour, we reached the tree line near the base, a wooden-walled compound connected to the hill behind it, with a cleared field in front, oil lamps on the walls, and guards pacing the watchtowers. Between Lamb's information and what we got from the captured sentries, I had a decent picture of the camp. I excitedly asked Oliver how we should attack. He smiled and said there was no need for strategy. It's just 70 or 80 bronze-rank guards and overseers. Their strongest guy is only mid-silver. He'd just charge straight in with the cavalry. Oliver clearly didn't want me anywhere near the fight, and honestly, he was right. No telling what surprises Grand Mining might have. So I stayed back with Holland and Simon while Oliver led the charge. He ordered the cavalry forward, and they hit the base like a flood. The watchtower guards barely managed to scream, "Enemy attack," before everything fell apart inside. Oliver activated a legion technique called Sword. All 50 silver knights channeled their battle energy through him, and a massive transparent energy blade formed above his head, several meters long. He swung it at the gate. The whole front wall, the gate, tents, buildings, and anyone standing in the way for over 10 meters were turned to dust in one strike. Everyone inside was terrified and hopeless. Everyone except their leader, Locke. The moment he saw a proper military force, he knew it was over. So he made a desperate choice. He grabbed something and sprinted toward the mine, planning to blow up the entire crystal vein and take everyone with him. The cavalry poured in, cutting down everyone equally. Surrender made no difference. Oliver spotted Locke running toward the mountain with a glowing object in his hand. He activated his war horse's storm bloodline and crossed 100 meters in 1 second, leaving everything in his path shredded by wind blades. He leaped off his horse, punched the enchanted dagger out of Locke's hand, then slammed a fist into his chest so hard the man flew into the mountain wall. 3 minutes. The entire battle lasted 3 minutes. Not a single casualty on our side. 83 enemies killed, Locke captured alive, 300 mining slaves freed. We seized 1 magic airship, over 13,000 magic crystal stones, 50 crystal cores, and, most importantly, that glowing object Locke tried to use. It was called the Song of Life and Death. Oliver handed it to me and explained what Locke had almost done. I nearly lost my mind. This thing is one of the world's rare artifacts, born only where 2 mineral veins intersect, one dying as another is born. Every month it shifts between 2 forms. In its life form, the Emerald Spirit Crystal, it can revive a dead vein by channeling natural elements into it. In its death form, the Annihilation Crystal, it drains material veins or detonates energy veins instantly. Locke had tried to detonate my magic crystal mine. If Oliver had been even a second slower, I would have died again, barely a month into my new life. The Human Alliance and every race on the continent jointly forbid using the Annihilation Crystal on any mine. The punishment is execution of 3 generations of direct blood relatives. Locke is finished, and I'm going to make sure Grand Mining goes down with him. Once James arrives, I'm filing a report with the Human Alliance and dragging every name involved into it. The battle itself was incredible to watch, but it also put things in perspective. This was just a standard silver combat squad. My family has elite gold-rank knight orders that would make this look like a warm-up. Father gave me the basic package. Everything beyond this, I'll have to build myself. Which is fine. At least I can honestly say everything I achieve from here on comes from my own effort and brilliance. Well, mostly. Oliver told me not to report the Song of Life and Death to the Human Alliance. It's too valuable. If word got out, it would attract enemies we can't handle yet. He pointed out that if anyone else knew Locke had it, they would have taken it already. His advice: execute Locke secretly, and if the secret ever leaks, just say we sent it to the family. It's only a small one, after all. I agreed. I sent Simon to interrogate Locke and squeeze every bit of information out of him. Then Oliver, Holland, and I went to inspect the mine. The entrance was a wide tunnel leading underground to a massive platform over 3,000 square meters. The captured 300 mining slaves were huddled together, shaking with fear. I told Holland to let them rest and give them a few days off. I'm a kind master, after all. I also planned to scan every one of them later to check for hidden talent. Below the platform, the mine was enormous. 3 tunnels branching out deep underground, full of mining equipment. I couldn't help but feel furious at how much grand mining had stolen from what's now my land. I told Oliver to send word to the family so Locke's relatives could be sent down to reunite with him. Oliver agreed. Every thief deserved the noose. I collected the stored crystal stones and cores from the warehouse, then settled into the captured magic airship for the night. When I opened my panel, experience points had been logged from the battle. Each bronze kill was worth 10 points. Oliver had killed 31 enemies and earned 310 points. Legion technique kills were split by contribution, fair enough. But my whole squad is silver rank, and killing bronze enemies gives barely anything. I'd need forever to level up this way. Then I looked at the Song of Life and Death still in my hand. My panel's experience counter had been flickering since I first touched it, giving me a clear feeling. I could absorb it. I'd hidden my reaction from Oliver earlier. The panel is my biggest secret, and nobody can ever know. Alone now, I confirmed the absorption. The crystal cycled between gray-white and emerald-green light for a full 30 minutes before crumbling to dust. I opened the panel. 200,000 experience points. Part of me was annoyed it wasn't more, but realistically, converting a magical artifact that operates on rules of life and death was bound to have losses. The plus signs appeared next to my knight rank and bloodline stats. My bloodline was at 73 out of 100. I tapped it 27 times, spending 2,700 experience to max it out. The pain hit instantly. I dropped to one knee. My blood started boiling. Starlight erupted from my heart, and elemental energy from 10 meters around rushed into me. The commotion alerted the whole camp. Oliver, Holland, and Simon ran to the airship. Simon, normally the quiet one, remarked that awakening a bloodline before reaching gold at 18 years old was genuinely impressive. Oliver ordered the soldiers into patrol formation to guard me and keep everyone away. Inside, the bloodline power of the Augustus Grand Archduke, a legendary rank lineage, surged through me, merging with the battle energy seed in my heart. After one final growl, it settled down. Only when I'm alone do I let my real personality show, the goofy, dramatic side. In front of my people, I have to be the calm, reliable, dignified noble son. That's what the family drilled into me. But alone in that room, I was striking poses and giving my panel dramatic speeches before tapping the upgrade button. The panel's revenge was making the awakening hurt like hell. The bloodline awakening was brutal, but once the pain passed, everything changed. My battle energy seed doubled in quality. Every muscle felt supercharged, like I could punch through anything. I grew 5 centimeters taller, now 188, and my body went from lean to powerfully built. Oliver, Holland, and Simon congratulated me from outside the door, and the cavalry started cheering. I told them to hold the celebration. I could feel the gold rank barrier loosening thanks to the awakening, and I wanted to push through right away. I activated the star breathing technique, our family's exclusive method passed down from the Augustus Grand Archduke. Elemental particles flooded toward me. My battle energy seed devoured them hungrily, growing rapidly. Before long, I broke through to Gold Knight. I called the 3 of them in, grinning like an idiot. They congratulated me again, and I tried to be humble about it, saying my brother's soul activated his bloodline at 15 and reached authority rank by 18, so my achievement was nothing special. I was clearly fishing for more praise. Oliver and Simon, both in their 30s, saw right through me and smiled. But Holland, the lovable bald idiot, just nodded seriously and said yes. Soul really is a famous genius. That killed my mood instantly. I told everyone to leave so I could rest. Oliver and Simon dragged Holland out while barely containing their laughter. Alone again, I checked the panel. My lifespan jumped from 120 to 150 years. I'm now gold initial rank. My bloodline shows as Star Radiance Descendant. I have 197,300 experience left. I tested the leveling system. Bloodline costs 100 per point until awakening. Rank advancement costs increase with each tier. I spent 3,920 experience to push gold initial to 99 out of 100. The panel offered 2 options, slow absorption through regular training for free or instant adaptation for extra experience. Clever system, but also annoying. In the evening, I put on my enchanted plate armor using battle energy. It assembled itself piece by piece like something out of a superhero movie. Cool, but expensive. A single magic crystal core costs 100 gold and only powers 20 automatic equippings. Combat drains it even faster. Armies are incredibly expensive. I went to see Locke, hoping he'd talked. Simon shook his head. The man wouldn't say a word no matter what they did. I walked into the dark hut where he hung from the ceiling beams, beaten beyond recognition. I offered him a deal. Confess everything and I'd spare his family. He laughed in my face and said someone would come to deal with me. I sighed, drew my sword, and cut off his head in one stroke. My first kill. I expected to feel something dramatic, but honestly, after all the horror films and dark web videos I'd watched in my old life, it barely registered. I wiped the blood off my blade, tossed the cloth on his face, told Simon to clean up, and walked away. I glanced at my panel, 20 experience points for a silver kill. So the pattern is bronze gives 10, silver 20, gold 40. Doubles each rank. I wonder if it keeps doubling at authority. At the mine entrance, I looked up at the small mountain, crouched down, and launched myself upward with battle energy. 2 explosive jumps to reach the top. I stood there watching the sunset over Ironwood Forest. This is my land now. The next morning, Simon piloted the captured airship while Oliver stayed to guard the mining camp. I planned to fly around the entire territory to map everything using my mini-map. We spent 30 minutes flying over Ironwood Forest at 80 kilometers per hour. Nothing special showed up. Then we crossed the grasslands surrounding the forest and entered a hilly area. 10 minutes in, a deep purple dot appeared on my map. It was a giant salt mine. My voice cracked when I yelled at Simon to turn left. As we got close, Holland spotted it first, a small basin between several hills, completely white, glittering in the sunlight like a massive gemstone. An open-pit salt mine, right there on the surface. I jumped off the airship and scooped up a handful of salt crystals. This was huge. In this world, salt isn't rare or expensive, but the demand is enormous. The population is massive. Just my family's Golden Lion territory has over 30 million people across 5 cities. The kingdom has 14 provinces, and the 3 great human empires are even bigger. Everyone needs salt. Even slaves need it to have the strength to work. A salt mine gives my territory a stable, permanent income source. I joked that Black Gold Ridge really lives up to the gold in its name, and maybe we'd find an actual gold mine next. Holland, bless his bald head, said maybe we really would. As we flew past the hills, something suddenly bothered me. I asked if anyone noticed anything strange. They didn't. I pointed it out. Since we entered the territory, we hadn't seen a single living thing. No magical beasts, no animals, not even a bird. Holland and Simon both went pale and said, "Dragon," simultaneously. Only a dragon's presence scares away all life from a territory. I told them to calm down. If there was a dragon, Locke's mining crew would have been eaten long ago. Simon sheepishly asked what I thought it was. I told them to finish the circuit and I'd have the answer. We flew over a massive plain for 3 hours until we reached the Black Gold Ridge mountain range. I pointed at a specific peak and told them to fly there. At the base of the mountain was an abandoned mine entrance with a ruined camp. Simon recognized it, a depleted mine from the Wilderness Court, the old governing body. This was the answer. The Song of Life and Death had been here. In its death form, it had drained this original mine and killed all life in the area, just like a dragon would. Locke must have found the artifact right here. We went inside. The tunnel was narrow, damp, and silent. At the deepest point, I saw it. The mine vein wasn't just here. It extended all the way to Ironwood Forest. The magic crystal deposit was one continuous vein running across the territory. That's when I finally understood Barren's whole scheme. He marked Black Gold Ridge as resource poor, then sold the crystal mine information to the highest bidder. After someone claimed the territory, he proposed leasing a section of Ironwood Forest and secretly mine the crystals from the far end where the new lord wouldn't think to look. These people really knew what they were doing. I almost had to admire how clever the scam was. We flew back to the Ironwood Forest base. Over the next few days, I focused on adapting to my new strength and learned the family's combat technique, Starlight Swordsmanship. In our family, young members only get basic training until they reach gold rank. Gold is where real extraordinary power begins. Once I got the basics down, I used the panel to instantly max out the first tier to perfect mastery. It only cost 300 experience. The Starlight Swordsmanship is a 5-tier legendary technique. The first tier includes projecting battle energy outward, close combat skills, and a killing move called Starlight Slash. I challenged Simon to a spar. He's a mid-gold knight, a proper test. He came at me hard, stomping the ground so hard it cracked, then appearing in front of me like a ghost. His first strike sent me sliding back several meters. But I didn't panic. I activated my battle energy and fought back, gradually adapting to his rhythm. My sword moves got smoother and stronger. Eventually, I combined the perfected technique with my bloodline power and blasted him away with Starlight Slash. Simon gracefully admitted defeat. I tried to be humble about it, but couldn't help laughing. I'd just beaten a mid-gold knight as a fresh gold initial. Oliver and Holland laughed with me. Simon pointed out that at my age, I'd surpass them all soon, which motivated the three of them to train harder. I smiled and promised I'd prepare elemental hearts for each of them when the time came, so they could break through to the next rank. Then the main column finally arrived at Ironwood Forest. Mon and James had brought everyone safely, no incidents along the way. The Augustus name kept any troublesome pioneer lords from interfering. I told them to camp for a day before moving to the Central Plains. I went to the noble chariot where Lisa threw herself into my arms crying. She'd missed me terribly and begged me never to leave her behind again. I kissed her face and promised. Then I told her I'd awakened my bloodline and broken through. She turned bright red, understanding what that meant. I carried her to my tent and kept the promise I'd made back at the castle. As a gold knight, I need less sleep now. I woke before dawn feeling great. I decided Lisa should start practicing a breathing technique. Once I accumulate enough shared experience, I'll level her up immediately. Her loyalty had hit 100 on my panel. She'd given me everything. Looking at all of it, the territory, the army, the loyal followers, and someone who'd die for me without hesitation. The lonely, drifting soul of a former office worker finally felt settled. I got dressed, stepped outside, and found James already waiting. I told him to send 2 maids to take care of Lisa, then mounted my Storm War horse. Spring had made it a bit restless. I asked James if he was caught up on everything that had happened. James suggested keeping the Ironwood Forest mining camp running to extract crystals and harvest ironwood at the same time. I shut that down. We don't have enough troops to split our forces in this dangerous wilderness. We sealed the crystal mine for now and merged both groups to head for the Central Plains. The next day we arrived. Several streams from the Black Gold Ridge Mountains merge into a river about 16 meters wide, cutting the plain in two. When everyone saw the vast, fertile land around the small hills at the center, they smiled. This place could easily support a large city with plenty of farmland. Nothing like the resource-poor label Barren slapped on it. I ordered camp construction to begin. I put all 550 bronze soldiers to work alongside the slaves. Each soldier equals a heavy machine in terms of strength and endurance. I kept the 50 silver cavalry on patrol duty. No point risking our best fighters on construction, and we need someone watching for enemies. My wooden house and the council hall went up first, built from pre-cut lumber the family had prepared. The house was modest, a small living room and bedroom with some noble decorations. I told myself this was temporary. Castles and cities would come later. The whole camp took just 3 days to take shape. Military barracks on the left with a small training square. Housing for key personnel, craftsmen, and warehouses on the right. A large equipment yard in front. Slave quarters in the back, with shared bathrooms, bathing pools, and wells built into every row. In the council hall, James reported that the pre-cut wood was used up and most slaves were still in tents. Spring planting season had less than a month left, so we needed to finalize the city layout and reserve farmland. I told them to send soldiers and slaves to cut trees from the nearby hills and finish all housing within 2 days. The castle could wait until after planting. Factory technicians should start scouting locations. I rode out with my guards to survey the area. The 2 hills at the center of the plains are really just 27-meter forested slopes. Between them and the river, there's about 3 square kilometers of flat land, perfect for the initial city, built along the river for future port access and water transport. 2 days later, the camp was done and organized. I rode out to where James had assembled all 7,800 slaves in formation, with 20 plow machines lined up in front. I addressed them directly. I told them this is their land of hope. Anyone who works hard enough to create 50 times their own value earns freedom. I swore it on my family's honor. I announced a new work point system. The top 3 scorers each year get freed immediately. And for the first year, the top 2,500 can apply to marry right away. Have just 2 children who reach adulthood, and they become free citizens. The slaves' dead eyes started coming alive when I announced the lowered freedom requirements and the new work point system. Some doubted it was real, some were on the fence, and the smart ones were already planning to outwork everyone. The crowd got noisy, and James wanted to send overseers in to beat them quiet. I stopped him. We need their energy. I had Mon shout them silent with battle energy enhanced voice instead. That worked instantly. I added the stick to go with the carrot. The bottom 2,000 in work points each year would have their freedom threshold reset to the standard 100 times their value. I told James to pick 10 slave supervisors after the plowing was done. Good performers could earn freedom too. He thought I was being too generous. I told him to watch the results first. Motivated slaves don't slack off. The plowing began. 20 machines lined up side by side, cutting into the plain. Each one drives 5 plow blades 30 centimeters deep, ripping up grass roots and flipping soil, while slaves follow behind picking out rocks and building ridges. Watching it stirred something in me, some deep farming instinct from my past life. I asked James how much land we could plow before spring planting ends. He did the math. 21 days left, minus 5 for seed soaking, land leveling, and sowing, leaves 16 working days. Each machine does 50 acres per day, so 20 machines means 1,000 acres daily, 16,000 total. I improved on that immediately. 2 shifts, 12 hours each. Machines run nonstop. Farm slaves lead, mining and factory slaves assist. Outstanding performers get promoted to supervisor. James's eyes lit up. That doubles output to 32,000 acres. He called me a genius. I just smiled. This world's efficiency is embarrassingly low. Even basic ideas from my old world can multiply productivity here. And their magic machines are absurdly cheap to run. 1 magic crystal stone worth a single gold coin powers a plow machine for an entire month of continuous operation. And these machines need 0 maintenance for their entire 10-year lifespan. We had enough seeds. The family bought wheat seed for 50,000 acres and magic wheat seed for 3,000 acres. Magic wheat is special. Food made from it extends your lifespan, prevents disease, and lets you live healthy until your natural limit. Only nobles and wealthy merchants can afford it. Each acre only holds 10 plants. It takes a full 12 months through all 4 seasons to mature, and each plant produces just 5 pounds of fruit. 3,000 acres gives me only 75 tons total. But it's incredibly valuable. I rewarded James by telling him he could eat magic wheat food daily from now on. He dropped to 1 knee on the spot, practically shouting his loyalty. His panel score jumped to 95. Magic wheat food is the kind of perk that money can't easily buy. Of course it worked. After that, I rode to the unnamed river running through the territory. Time to name it. I almost called it Roland River, but caught myself before embarrassing myself. I asked my guards for suggestions. Holland scratched his bald head uselessly. Simon looked confused. Mon, the sharpest of the 3, suggested Golden Luo River, combining Black Gold Ridge with my name. I praised him warmly and quietly buried my original idea. Close call. I sent Holland to check the river for fish. My map already showed them returning. With the song of life and death gone, wildlife was coming back to the territory. Holland jumped straight into the river in full armor like the lovable idiot he is. He came back with 2 half-meter-long fish. I declared them black gold fish, a territory specialty. The 3 guards immediately agreed, even though the fish already had a real name. Classic emperor says it's a deer so it's a deer situation. We all burst out laughing. We grilled one with just salt. It was incredible, firm, tender, no fishy smell at all, and eating it sent a warm energy flowing through my body. Simon confirmed that regular people who eat these fish get physically stronger. Mon suggested we block the connection to the verdant river so the fish breed exclusively in our waters, the newly named Golden Luo River. Smart idea, but it meant we'd need boats eventually, which meant another trip to Grand City. We don't have the people to build ships yet. Back at my cabin, I trained with my breathing technique. At this rate, It'll take about 20 days total to fully absorb and adapt to the gold initial rank I'm maxed through the panel. The bigger headache isn't getting stronger. It's explaining how I'm getting stronger so fast. This body's original talent was average. If I suddenly advance like a genius, people will get suspicious. This world has gods, but they're not faith-based. They're just the divine rank emperors. I can't even fake being chosen by a god. If my panel secret leaks, the Human Alliance would probably kidnap me for research. I've had nightmares about being dissected. My plan is to fabricate some frontier encounters with rare treasures to explain my progress. Within the territory, my people won't question it. They'll fill in the blanks themselves. And being the direct bloodline of an eternal count who happened to find some lucky opportunities? Not unreasonable, just slightly better than my brother Soul. That's believable. I visited the military camp and watched Oliver drill the bronze infantry. 500 soldiers in tight formation, 3 steps forward, war cry on each step, then launch their spears with battle energy. Every single spear hit the target circle perfectly. Impressive discipline. I told Oliver I'd be heading to Grand City soon and leaving the territory in his care. Then I called over Hans, the artillery captain, and told him to come pick one of the 5 advanced breathing techniques I brought from the family, one to teach his gunners. His face lit up, and he dropped to one knee. His loyalty shot to 90 on my panel. Previously, the artillery unit only had mid-grade techniques since they came from the family's basic training camp. Now the entire military has access to advanced methods. The infantry already practiced the same advanced technique as the family's main knight order, capable of reaching the elemental rank. Breathing techniques in this world are ranked: beginner, intermediate, advanced, supreme, domain, legendary, and divine. After 2 days of writing, I finally finished the work point system for the territory. Lisa peeked over my shoulder curiously, and I called James in to review it. Land plowing was going well. The 2-shift system had already reached 6,000 acres in just 2 days. James warned me to be careful when I go back to Grand City, since Barren's people won't give up easily. I laughed it off. Those clowns had already given me a mining operation as a gift. I'm hoping they send more presents. I handed James the written system. He read every page carefully, then got genuinely excited, calling me a genius at slave management. I shamelessly took the credit. The inspiration was really just basic labor management from my old world, but they don't need to know that. James reported on potential slave supervisors. 6 stood out as hard workers who also reported slackers. 2 named Iron Fork and Haystack were the best. They'd exposed a group led by someone called Cesspit who'd organized a lazy clique. I freed all 6 on the spot as a reward, though they still owe 50 times their value in work. As for Cesspit, I ordered him executed publicly that night. Organizing resistance groups is not something I'll tolerate. That evening, we held a gathering. Plowing machines circled the crowd with their lights blazing. Silver cavalry patrolled on warhorses. Bronze infantry stood guard with spears. All slaves from both shifts assembled. Cesspit hung from a post on the stage, mouth gagged. The 6 newly freed slaves stood beside him, smiling. James announced the work point system to everyone. The basics: 12 hours of work earns 1 point per day. 365 points per year equals 1 times their own value. Under the old rules, they'd need 50 years to earn freedom. Under my system, they can volunteer for 2 extra hours daily, earning 60 bonus points per year. Plus, anyone hitting their yearly target gets a 6-month reduction. That brings the total down to about 34 years. Additional benefits: freed slaves who earned it through work points get a free beginner breathing technique. Those who choose the child-raising path, 2 children raised to adulthood, still get freedom but no breathing technique. In their final year, any extra points convert to silver coins. The territory provides free housing for life. The slaves wept with joy. They started shouting praise, calling me merciful, saying there was finally hope. Across the entire continent, no lord offers terms this good. But did I lose anything? Not at all. A motivated slave working with hope produces far more than a desperate one who's given up. Through work points, each slave creates over 30 times their value for me. Once freed, they learn breathing techniques, become apprentice-level practitioners, and start paying taxes. The child-raising path is even better for me. I get 2 young slaves when the children come of age, replace 2 aging workers, and get 19 years of motivated labor for free. It's a closed loop. The increased productivity from motivation alone more than covers the reduced requirements. 21st century management applied to a feudal world. After letting them celebrate, I rewarded the 6 freed slaves publicly. They knelt and stammered gratitude. Then I turned cold. I told them my kindness is not permission to slack off. Anyone who forms groups or shirks work will end up like cesspit. I drew my sword and cut him in half at the waist right there on stage. Every slave dropped to the ground instantly, faces pressed to the dirt. Message received. The day I was about to leave for Grand City, Oliver came with urgent news. Patrol riders had spotted a large enemy force. Nearly 800 hyena men heading our way. I immediately canceled the trip. I ordered all farming stopped, everyone back to camp, and left James with 100 soldiers to guard the slaves and craftsmen. Anyone who tries to run gets killed. Then I suited up in my enchanted armor, said goodbye to Lisa, and rode out with my guards, the cavalry, 400 infantry, and the artillery. The hyena men are no joke. They're a major power in the Thorn Wasteland, with 3 crown clans and countless tribes forming an entire kingdom. Adults stand over 2.5 meters tall, males nearly 3. Their claws and teeth match a peak apprentice human, and their warriors use a supernatural ability called blood energy. A small tribe has at least 500 fighters. This one was led by a chief named Hork with over 2,200 total members and 800 warriors. What Hork didn't know was that Philip's smugglers had set him up, feeding him lies about a weak human lord settling nearby with a magic crystal mine. He came to raid what he thought was easy prey. When both sides lined up, I checked my map. They had about 130 silver rank wolf riders and 600 bronze warriors, with 1 gold rank chief. I had 50 silver cavalry, but all of them were high silver with 2nd rank war horses, plus 4 gold rank officers. Their bronze troops wore crude iron armor. Mine wore spiral steel plate. Their weapons were junk compared to ours. And I had 3 magic cannons and 5 crossbow vehicles. I was looking at a free experience package. Both sides charged simultaneously. I ordered the cannons to fire first. 3 energy beams streaked toward the wolf riders. Hork screamed for a legion technique, blood shield. The riders and their wolf-formed siblings combined their blood energy into a massive red barrier. The first beam made it shake violently. The second cracked it. The third shattered it completely, vaporizing over 10 riders on impact. Then the crossbow vehicles fired. 50 bolts ripped through their formation, cutting another 20+ in half. Oliver led the cavalry in using their speed legion technique and smashed into the broken rider formation. Our silver knights completely outclassed theirs in every way. Better weapons, better armor, better mounts, better training. The wolf riders were getting pushed into a corner. Hork sent his 600 infantry charging at my foot soldiers in desperation. I ordered the bronze infantry forward. They threw 2 volleys of javelins before contact. Over 1,000 spears raining down, killing more than 100 hyena men before the lines even met. When they clashed, it was a massacre. Our peak bronze soldiers in steel plate easily pierced their cheap iron armor, while their crude spears bounced off our steel. The hyena men fell like wheat being cut. Their proud physical strength meant nothing against industrial-grade equipment and trained extraordinary soldiers. I told Oliver to hold back during most of the cavalry fight, only killing a few at the start. He didn't understand why, but he followed orders. I wanted the soldiers to accumulate experience kills for my panel. When Hork finally blew the retreat horn after losing 2/3 of his riders, I let Oliver go all out. He formed the giant energy sword and started harvesting the remaining riders. The hyena man infantry broke and ran. I sent Holland and Simon in with the infantry to chase and kill as many as possible. And I sent Mon after the fleeing Chief Hork personally. Once the retreat horn sounded, every hyena man ran for their lives. That's their nature. They fight to the death during battle, but the moment defeat is confirmed, all courage vanishes. Oliver's cavalry wiped out the wolf riders completely, then chased down the fleeing infantry. More than half had already died in the head-on fight, so the rest didn't take long. Soon every hyena man on the field was dead except for their chief Hork, who was still being chased by Mon and the guards. While the soldiers cleaned up, I checked the panel. 52 of my bronze infantry were ready to break through to silver. They'd been stuck at their bottleneck, and the battle experience pushed them over. The family really did send quality troops. I also discovered the panel can heal injuries using experience points, though I decided not to waste any on the 27 light wounds we had. Still, knowing I can heal my soldiers in emergencies is huge. Injuries are one of the biggest causes of army losses. I selected the slow adaptation option for all 52 upgrades. Within days, I'd have 52 new silver warriors. Oliver reported the final numbers. 27 light injuries on our side, all recoverable within a week. We killed 600 warriors, 134 riders, and 7 of the chief's personal guards. Over 500 sets of salvageable armor and weapons collected. I ordered everything hauled back. Once the military factory is built, we'll melt it all down and reforge it. Meanwhile, Mon chased Hork along the Black Gold Ridge Mountains toward Wolf Fong territory. He caught up at the border. Hork tried to fight. He and his wolf mount combined their blood energy for a heavy hammer strike. Mon just smiled, activated his storm horse's bloodline, and cut through the hammer and Hork's neck in one blow. The chief's head hit the ground, still wearing a look of disbelief. Holland and Simon finished the 3 guards, and they all rode back with the body. When I saw them return, I got excited and suggested we go raid Hork's tribe right now. They'd lost all their warriors and would be defenseless. Everyone got fired up, but then the infantry commander Duran pointed out the problem. We killed every single hyena man. No prisoners. We have no idea where the tribe actually is. Wolf Fong territory is enormous and borders the Hyena Man Kingdom's sphere of influence. I looked around at my people and asked why nobody kept any alive. Oliver awkwardly tried to blame Mon's team. Mon's group started to protest. I laughed and cut everyone off. It was my fault for not thinking of it beforehand. We packed up and headed home. As we approached camp at sunset, the watchtower guards started cheering. James had lined up all the slaves on both sides of the gate to welcome us. The crowd erupted as we rode in, shouting about my invincibility and glory. I felt a mix of embarrassment, pride, and satisfaction. I hadn't even broken a sweat personally, but the credit was absolutely all mine. Lisa was waiting in the middle of the road with flowers, eyes full of admiration. I pulled her up onto my horse, kissed her, and announced, "Extra food for everyone tonight. Slaves get the night off until midnight, and every slave gets 30 bonus work points." The cheering nearly shook the sky. Then I took Lisa back to the tent to celebrate properly. The morning after the celebration, I woke up early. The intense nighttime activities had actually helped me fully stabilize my gold initial rank ahead of schedule. I can now upgrade to gold mid whenever I want. I sparred with my guards at the training ground. With my bloodline power and perfected first-tier swordsmanship, I fought Mon, a peak gold knight, to a draw. He wasn't holding back this time. The soldiers watching went wild. Though I've decided I won't personally fight in battles unless absolutely necessary. That's what I have an army for. It still felt great knowing I could. After training, I met with the factory managers. Paul ran the military factory, and there were managers for textiles, food processing, brewing, daily goods, and cement. All had loyalty above 80, trained by the family since childhood. I asked about their site surveys. They all looked at John, the cement factory manager, because without cement, none of the other factories can be built. Wooden structures can't support heavy equipment, withstand the vibration of magic power engines, or create the sealed environments that elemental pools require. John told me they'd searched the entire territory by airship, plains, hills, ironwood forest, grasslands, and found no limestone or clay deposits. Without those, no cement. Without cement, no factories. I gave them an icy look and asked why they hadn't reported this sooner. They dropped to their knees. Truthfully, I'd already noticed the missing minerals during my own aerial survey, but got busy with other things. But a leader never admits that. The blame always falls on subordinates. I appreciated that they didn't make excuses, so I let them off with a warning. I briefly wondered about using river clay as a substitute, but John explained that magic elemental pools can't create materials that aren't there. Cement needs limestone, clay, and iron in specific ratios. No shortcuts. The Black Gold Ridge Mountains might have deposits, but those mountains have magical beasts. If we ran into a flying one, we'd lose the airship. I told them I'd bring back enough cement from Grant City. They should finalize factory locations in the meantime. A few days later, after all 52 infantry had completed their silver breakthroughs, I left the territory with my guards and 20 silver cavalry. Without the massive caravan slowing us down, we were incredibly fast. We crossed the entire territory in 2 hours. Along the way, I passed through the Nort Hills and observed the neighboring pioneer territory in Torrent Valley, run by a viscount's son named Martin. His land looked decent, slaves were out planting. Then we crossed into Black Pine Plain, the most developed region of the ash mineral wilds, with over 60 pioneer lords and 10 times the land area of Starry Highlands. My region only has 5 lords total. 2 days of fast riding brought me back to Grand City. Same routine. Guards cleared the line at the gate for the noble lord, and I rode straight to the noble estate. The next morning, I headed to Slave Street. Instead of rushing to buy in bulk, I walked the whole street using my scan skill, checking every slave on the auction platforms for hidden potential. Most were unremarkable. I was about to give up when I spotted a platform surrounded by a huge crowd. A mage. On a crowded auction platform, a female mage was being brought out, hands in anti-magic shackles, wearing a ruined robe, face covered by a sealing mask. I pushed through the crowd immediately. My knights forced a space open around me. Every noble, merchant house, and company on the street swarmed over. Mages are incredibly rare and valuable in this world. 60% are concentrated in the Etheria Empire alone. The remaining human nations fight over the rest. Mages aren't necessarily stronger than knights one-on-one, but on large battlefields, mage units are devastating. More importantly, any mage who reaches Archmage rank can build elemental pools and create magic machines. They're the foundation of the entire magic industrial age. Every noble and merchant guild desperately wants one. The slave trader Flo, from the Starlight Federation's United Commerce Guild, announced her as Eve, a legal slave approved by the Human Alliance, stripped of her family name, currently at high-rank mage level. Starting bid, 50,000 gold. He'd bought her for 30,000 through connections and shipped her to this mage-starved frontier to make a killing. The crowd went quiet at that price. A regular farm slave costs 5 gold. Even a slave child with mage potential goes for 5,000. 50,000 for a single high-rank mage was steep. Flo got nervous and threw in a bonus. Her beauty rivals an elf's, guaranteed or your money back. That got people bidding. The price climbed through competing nobles and merchants until it stalled around 57,000. I'd already scanned her with my panel. Eve, 18 years old. 0 affinity toward me. Her actual level, peak high-rank mage, fallen from Archmage due to injury. Potential, rank 8, legendary. Legendary potential. I didn't hesitate. 60,000. The crowd turned to look. Some recognized me and backed off. Others kept pushing. A Viscount's family member bid 61. A big merchant guild went to 62. I jumped to 70,000 and rested my hand on my sword hilt, tapping it meaningfully. They hesitated, then gave up. She's just a pretty high-rank mage to them. They have no idea about her real potential. I went behind the platform and told Flo I was buying her right now. No waiting the remaining auction days. He tried to argue about the 3-day display period, hoping a bigger buyer might show up. I reminded him that Grand City is a dangerous border town, and bad things can happen to merchants carrying valuable goods. Then I sweetened it. My territory needs thousands more slaves, and I'd buy from him. Stick and carrot. He caved. He handed over the high-grade soul enslavement scroll that came with the purchase. It works by writing both the master's and slave's names in blood on the scroll. Once activated, the slave can't resist any command, and the master can kill her instantly at will. Decent, but far inferior to my panel. The scroll can be defied if someone doesn't fear death. My panel locks loyalty permanently. It can only go up, never down. I sent Flo out to prepare a batch of slaves with extraordinary potential for me to review. Then I cleared the room, sent everyone out, and closed the door. Just me and Eve. I stepped in front of her and lifted the anti-magic mask off her face. When I lifted the mask, I froze. Even after a lifetime of filtered photos and AI-generated images, her face stopped me cold. Every feature was perfect. Deep blue eyes like gemstones, pale skin, an expression of heartbreaking sadness. She was beyond beautiful. I gave her 2 choices. 1. Soul enslavement scroll. She becomes my property with no will of her own. 2. Swear a genuine soul oath of loyalty. Keep her freedom. Serve me willingly. And when I'm strong enough, I'll avenge whoever destroyed her life. I warned her I can tell if she's sincere. She stared at me for a long time, then asked if I could really take on her enemy, the Speaker of the Starlight Federation, equivalent to a duke. I told her with complete confidence that one day even the Grand Speaker wouldn't be my match. Maybe my face made it convincing. She knelt and swore her oath. Her loyalty instantly registered at 82 on my panel. I accepted, helped her up, and removed her shackles. The moment the anti-magic restraints came off, powerful elemental energy surged toward her. Then she stumbled. Her injuries were still serious. I caught her. She said she could maintain peak high-rank mage level for now, but recovering her archmage strength would take time. I comforted her thoroughly. By the time we came out, her loyalty had reached 90. Flo the trader noticed my satisfied expression and made a crude comment. I shut him down quickly. I didn't want Eve embarrassed. She told me not to worry, that Flo had treated her decently. Smart and gracious even in a terrible situation. Flo took us underground to his storage facility, a massive network of rooms filled with slaves who all had extraordinary potential. I scanned every single one. Disappointing overall, not a single rank 6 potential. Mostly rank 3 and 4, a handful of rank 5. The good ones get filtered out by nobles before they ever reach the slave market. I picked out 40-something rank 5 potentials, 110 rank 4 potentials, all young, healthy, and at peak apprentice level with breathing techniques. Flo surprised me by offering them free as a gift to secure a long-term business relationship. He wanted to be my exclusive supplier. I agreed on the condition that he only sends slaves with at least medium potential and delivers them directly to Black Gold Ridge. What other nobles consider slim chance of reaching silver or gold becomes a guaranteed promotion in my hands, thanks to the panel. After paying 70,000 for Eve, I swept through the rest of Slave Street buying everyone with rank 4 potential or above. 440 medium potential slaves at 50 gold each. 160 high potential slaves at 100 gold each. Including Flo's gift, my total haul was 550 rank 4 and 200 rank 5 potential slaves, all at peak apprentice level. Once I give them advanced breathing techniques, they'll break through to bronze quickly. Then I can finally split my forces to guard the mines. After the specialty purchases, I went back to Doug's shop and ordered 5,000 mining slaves, 3,000 farm slaves, and 2,000 factory slaves. 85,000 gold coins gone in one transaction. My spending spree made me famous across Grand City's merchant circles overnight. Unfortunately, that attention also reached people who had plans for me. After spending 193,000 gold on slaves, I headed to the Storm Commerce Guild for materials. Leon greeted me like I was made of gold coins. I needed building materials for 5 small factories and 1 medium military factory. Leon calculated the totals: 1,480 tons of cement, 295 tons of steel reinforcement, 800,000 bricks, and 1 magic construction machine. The raw materials themselves were dirt cheap. That's the magic of this world's industrial economy. Basic construction materials here are sometimes cheaper than modern factories back in my old world. Leon tried to charge 300 gold for materials and 1,000 for shipping. I countered at 100 for everything. He folded instantly once I mentioned I'd also be buying machines. I ordered 20 more plow machines, 20 more harvesters, 1,000 magic crystal lamps at 1 gold each, and 10,000 tons of spiral steel ingots at 1 gold per ton. My military factory can technically produce steel, but without iron mines or enough workers, I have to buy finished product. Spiral steel is the good stuff, what my soldiers' armor and weapons are made from. Humans ban selling anything at this quality level to non-allied races. Leon totaled it at 31,000 plus 5,000 shipping. I knocked it down to 35,000 flat, and he threw in the factory building materials for free. Deal done. Though I had a nagging feeling I'd still overpaid. I really need to hire someone who specializes in commerce. Back at the estate, I spent quality time with Eve. Her loyalty jumped to 95. I didn't ask about her past, and she didn't volunteer it. We both understand that revenge talk is meaningless until I have the power to back it up. I lay there calculating my finances. Total spending on this Grand City trip, 228,500 gold. Combined with the previous trips, 35,000. I've spent 248,500 total. Starting from the family's million gold, my pocket money, and Lamb's donation, I have about 780,000 left, 500,000 in the bank, 270,000 in my space ring, and 10,000 with James. Sounds like a lot, but building a city, paying military salaries, craftsman wages, and servant costs will burn through it fast. My old life poverty instincts kicked in hard. Meanwhile, Barren and Philip were meeting again at the administrator's mansion. Philip had figured out that Locke was probably dead, and the hyena men had failed too. He laid out two options: either pay a mid-sized hyena man tribe to attack me, or negotiate peace. Barren rejected both. Negotiating would cost too much. I wouldn't let them off easy. Hiring hyena men would give the beasts leverage over them forever, and my family wouldn't sit idle if they found out. Barren's answer was chilling: kill me directly. I was woken up by knocking. Mon reported that Barren himself had come to see me. That was unexpected. In the guest room, Barren looked worn out. I greeted him with a jab about Locke missing him. He didn't flinch. Instead, he went straight to business. He was selling out Philip, the city administrator from the Spencer Count family. He told me Philip was the real mastermind behind everything. The illegal mining, the ambush, all of it. And now Philip was planning to hire a mid-sized hyena man tribe to invade my territory. A mid-sized tribe has warriors equivalent to authority-rank humans. I can't fight that yet. Barren was clearly saving his own skin by sacrificing Philip. He'd been the one who originally convinced Philip to steal from the mine. But now he was rewriting history to make himself look like an unwilling accomplice. I didn't believe a single word of his act, but the threat of a mid-sized tribe was real enough that I couldn't ignore him. I cut through his drama and asked what he actually wanted. His offer was practical. He controls which territories get recommended to future pioneer lords. He could steer them away from my borders, giving me room to expand without neighbors boxing me in. Without expansion space, I'd be stuck as a baron forever. I can't exactly attack fellow human nobles. He'd also provide detailed intelligence on all unclaimed territories in the ash mineral wilds. In exchange, he wanted gold and protection. I told him he'd sell anything. He laughed and said we were alike. We shook on it like old friends. I asked him to hand over Locke's wife and son living in Grant City. He smiled and gave Mon their address. That night, Mon went to their apartment with a black mask and his enchanted sword. He broke in silently and killed them both. I ordered him to leave the bodies intact, no cruelty. They were innocent, but being Locke's family made them a liability. The song of life and death secret couldn't risk leaking. This is a ruthless world, and I need to act accordingly. As for Philip, I told Barren not to worry about him. I'd write to my father. The Spencer Count would give the Augustus family a proper answer once father applied pressure. Philip is just a Count's administrator. He has nothing to fight back with against an eternal Count family. Barren promised to discourage future pioneer lords from settling near me, steering them toward Black Ridge Mountains instead. We parted on good terms. I've also decided to stop pretending I can do everything alone. My family is powerful. My father still runs things before my brother takes over, and the relationships are good. Having a cheat system means I should use every available resource to grow fast, including family connections. Being stubborn about independence when I have a legendary rank grandfather and a domain peak father would just be stupid. After breakfast, I took Eve and my guards to the Grand City Mage Tower, a massive structure hundreds of meters tall, built from fused magic or blocks, covered in runes, with a signal device on top that connects to every mage tower across the human world. The ground floor is a communications center for nobles and wealthy citizens. I told Eve I'd build her own mage tower someday. She's been opening up since we got close, playful, teasing, calling me big brother, and whispering in my ear to make me flustered. I told her to behave and let everyone inside. I paid 50 gold for a video call room. The setup was like a futuristic version of my old world's video conferencing. A crystal panel on the armrest to input coordinates, a magic glass screen across from the sofa. Video costs 50 gold per session, voice only costs 10. No time limit once connected since the Mage Tower provides unlimited energy. I dialed the family tower's coordinates. A communications officer named Jerry appeared on screen, confirmed my father was available, and transferred me to the castle study. Father appeared, looking as imposing as ever. He asked about my progress. I didn't know he already had hidden guards watching me and reporting everything, so I proudly told him about the camp, the farmland, the crystal and salt mines, and the military buildup. He said he was proud of me. Then I dropped the real reason for the call. I told him Philip, the Spencer family's administrator, was planning to hire a mid-sized hyena man tribe to attack my territory over the crystal mine. Father shook his head and said I was being immature. He told me the smart move would have been to rally the other pioneer nobles and approach the Spencer family directly. Philip was damaging both grand cities and the Spencer family's reputation for personal profit. The city and the family aren't his to abuse. Nobles negotiate, trade, and find balance points. No permanent enemies, no permanent friends. I nodded seriously and said I understood. He said he'd handle Philip personally this time. Then he transferred the call to Mother. But I had my own plan that I didn't share with Father. I wasn't interested in uniting the pioneer nobles. I wanted Grand Mining Company for myself. Once Father pressures the Spencer count and Philip's schemes get exposed, the Spencer family won't protect him. When Philip falls, I'll swoop in and take over his mining company. It operates contracted mines across multiple pioneer territories and can supply materials my factories need. What I didn't know was that Father had already prepared a big surprise gift for me. While I was video calling Mother, Philip was already finished. The Spencer family sent a man named Reck to strip him of everything. Philip sat on the floor of his wrecked office in complete despair. His crimes were laid out: stealing from pioneer territory, contacting hostile races to harm a noble. The Spencer count ordered his children left unharmed and their inheritance protected, but Philip himself was handed over to our family's Dark Eagle Guard agent, Gao. Grand Mining Company was given to me as compensation. I didn't know any of this yet. I was busy sweet-talking Mother. I told her everything was going great, bragged about the mines, and casually mentioned I couldn't even afford to build my castle yet. She saw right through me. She already knew I'd spent 70,000 gold on a female slave. The family's intelligence network clearly reports everything. She offered me 500,000 gold from her personal savings. I nodded like a bobblehead. Then she got serious. No taking formal consorts and absolutely no children before marriage. In this world, nobles can have a legal wife plus consorts called court ladies. But the wife must be from a noble family, and if you have children with someone before marrying properly, no noble family will give you their daughter. You'd become a laughingstock. I thought carefully about her warning and felt relieved that I'd been careful with both Lisa and Eve. After the call, I sent Holland and Simon to organize the slave deliveries and notify the merchants to start shipping goods to Black Gold Ridge. I pulled Eve close and asked about her actual combat capabilities. She told me her elemental rings were shattered. She's currently only at peak gold mage level, limited to third circle spells. She can't build elemental pools or create magic machines. She's a combat mage, not an alchemist. I promised I'd help her recover to Archmage. She held me tight. Her whole family was wiped out. Her teacher's reputation was the only thing that kept her alive before she was sold into slavery. She knows she was lucky to end up with me. Then Ma knocked. Family representatives had arrived. A knight in full magic plate armor walked in carrying a broken man like a sack of garbage. It was Philip, limbs shattered, barely breathing. The knight introduced himself as Gao from the family's Dark Eagle Guard, elemental rank 8, with 8 fused elemental cores. He'd come on Father's orders. He handed me a parchment scroll. The Spencer family had stripped Philip of his noble title, reported it to the kingdom, and given me Grand Mining Company as formal compensation. I was stunned at how fast it happened. I also learned something about power levels. At elemental rank, advancement is measured by how many types of elemental hearts you fuse and how many cores of each. Normal people can only fuse one type. Geniuses can fuse several, with a maximum of 5 cores per type. The power gaps at this stage become enormous. Gao had fused 8 cores. Our family casually deploys people like this as enforcers. That's the kind of power backing me. I opened the parchment and started grinning at the first line. Grand Mining Company. All of it. Handed to me. Crying to Father really does work. Call Dad. Get a whole company. Complain to Mom. Get 500,000 gold. Having a good family is priceless. The asset list was incredible. A 6-story headquarters in Grand City, 2 large commercial shops, mines across 5 pioneer territories, 2 small iron mines, a limestone mine, a clay mine, and a large decorative stone mine. 160 employees, 12,000 mining slaves, 15 mining machines, 5 small magic airships, 1 medium airship, and various equipment. I walked over to Philip, grabbed his hair, and pulled his face up. He rasped that I shouldn't celebrate. The people he'd sent to contact the hyena men were already on their way. I smiled and asked if he meant the contacts through Barren. I asked if he'd ever wondered why only he was here and not Barren. His eyes went wide. He finally understood who had betrayed him. He broke down laughing and crying at the same time. I called Barren in and told him simply, "Kill Philip, and we're friends." Barren pulled out an enchanted dagger without hesitation, crouched beside the broken man, and slit his throat. No emotion at all. I gave Barren one of Grand Mining's commercial shops as a reward. We laughed together like old pals. After Gao departed, I went to Grand Mining headquarters, a 6-story building, maybe 350 square meters per floor. The general manager, Rio, and all the department heads were waiting in the lobby. I went straight to the second-floor conference room and asked for the numbers. Rio reported everything smoothly. 2 quality iron mines producing 20,000 tons of, or monthly, yielding about 12,000 tons of refined iron. Clay mine at 10,000 tons monthly. Limestone at 10,000. Decorative stone at 100,000. Total monthly revenue, 6,225 gold. Expenses were modest. 300 gold for staff wages, 180 for slave food. The slaves need meat and vegetables because of the heavy labor. Lose a slave, lose income. I liked Rio's competence. I kept him in charge, but gave new orders. Stop all external sales immediately. Every gram of mineral output ships directly to Black Gold Ridge. I fired all sales staff and their managers. The company keeps only the frontier mineral exploration teams and the 5 mine site crews. Grand City shops get sealed. Rio has 1 week to handle the transition. His loyalty scanned at 75. Good enough for now. I rushed to the pioneer camp outside the city where Holland and Simon had assembled all 750 extraordinary potential slaves. I rode my Storm War horse to the front of the formation, towering over them from 2.5 meters up. I announced that I would free every single one of them. Give them civilian status. Give them power. Give them glory. And in return, I demanded one thing, absolute loyalty. One voice shouted it first, then another, then all of them together, chanting in unison, loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. All 750 former slaves were registered in my panel. Lowest loyalty was 70, highest 78. Solid numbers that will only climb with time. I also discovered something new. Magical beasts raised in the territory can be registered too, and they accumulate experience. Their loyalty system is simpler, just hostile, tame, or companion. All my war horses were already at companion level. I announced they'd be throwing away their garbage low-grade breathing techniques immediately. I was giving them the advanced radiance breathing method, the same one my bronze infantry uses. I'm building my own Radiance Night Order. The soldiers went wild chanting my name, so loud the Grand City Wall guards were staring from their posts. I split them into 75 10-man squads. Whoever breaks through to bronze first becomes squad leader. That lit a fire under everyone. I had my 20 silver cavalry teach them the technique, then retreated to my tent to wait. 3 days later, every single one had broken through to bronze. From apprentice peak to bronze in 3 days. That's what happens when talented people switch from low-grade to advanced breathing techniques. They've been held back by bad methods their whole lives. I ordered assembly. The formation was a bit rough, but impressive for just days of training. I told them to eat, gear up, and prepare to move. The gear cost me 41,000 gold. Now I understand why armies are the most expensive thing in any world. Full spiral steel plate armor, 30 gold per set. Steel spear, 10 gold. Longsword, 5 gold. 10 throwing javelins per soldier at 1 gold each. 750 sets total. But it's worth every coin. Spiral steel is the reason humans dominate other races militarily. Below silver rank, you literally cannot penetrate this armor. If both sides are silver, the one wearing spiral steel wins. Add enchantments, and even gold rank fighters can't cut through it. That's why we slaughtered the hyena men without a single casualty. Their crude iron weapons bounced off our steel, while our spears went through their armor like paper. During these 3 days, I also used my panel to upgrade myself to gold mid-rank. After Philip's betrayal taught me that enemies won't wait politely. I spent 8,000 experience for the instant adaptation option instead of the slow method. It felt like I'd actually trained for years, complete mastery of gold mid-level power in moments. Combined with my enchanted armor and sword, I'm now unbeatable within gold rank. At noon on a warm spring day, we departed. I rode my storm war horse with Eve, leading the silver cavalry ahead, while Holland and Simon brought up the rear with the fully armed new infantry. 750 soldiers in gleaming spiral steel, marching in formation with steel spears raised like a moving dragon. Grand City shrank behind us. The mage tower's glinting spire faded into the distance. Along with the memories of slavery these soldiers were leaving behind forever. I took a different route back through the Blood Mountain range this time, hoping to find supernatural resources along the way. Now that I have a mage, I need to start growing magic plants. Eve is gorgeous, but she's also going to earn gold for me. In Silver Mist Valley, my map picked up a cluster of faint red dots in a stream, supernatural creatures. I had the soldiers dam a section of the creek, and we went fishing. What we pulled out were cloud-light fish, transparent, 30-centimeter fish with glowing cloud patterns flowing inside their bodies. Each one is worth 3,000 to 5,000 gold at auction. More importantly, they boost a knight's talent. Anyone below high-grade potential gets bumped up a full level. High-grade potential people get improved odds of breaking through to elemental rank. We caught 11 adults and 30 juveniles. I promised every soldier they'd be able to earn these fish through military merit once we successfully breed them. Loyalty scores jumped across the board on my panel. Eve pointed out these fish normally only survive in element-rich underwater environments near aquatic magic plants. There were none here, so their presence was strange. I shrugged. Who cares why they're here? They're mine now. I crushed some magic wheat and fed it to them for energy. After Silver Mist Valley, my luck dried up. Nothing else interesting all the way to the North Hills. Then things got exciting. Near the border of Torrent Valley territory, we spotted a merchant caravan fleeing from pursuers. Both groups noticed us and came our way. Mon had our soldiers form up instantly, gleaming armor, forest of spears. 2 men rode out. The caravan manager, Contus from the Starlight United Commerce Guild, started asking for protection. Before he could finish, a gold-rank knight named Jack interrupted him, claiming to be from the Torrent Valley Pioneer, Lord Martin's garrison. He accused the merchant of stealing from his lord and asked me to hand the caravan over. Contus shot back that Jack's people were actually robbing him out of greed. Both were pointing fingers. I told them I wasn't a court. I didn't care about their dispute. Then I paused and asked them a simple question. Where are we? Before either could process what I meant, I drew my enchanted sword, activated the sharpness rune, and unleashed Starlight Slash. A 6-meter battle energy wave left the blade and cut through Jack, armor, body, and war horse in under a second. He didn't even have time to react. Blood and fragments splattered all over Contus, who stood frozen in shock. 2 gold rank experience points registered on my panel. My control was perfect. The ground beneath Jack and Contus himself were completely untouched. I turned to Mon without expression. Kill all the soldiers. Bring the merchants here. 5 minutes later, Jack's entire squad, 3 silvers and 30 bronze, were wiped out. The dozen trembling merchants were brought before me. That's when Contus finally snapped back to reality, dropped off his horse, and threw himself on the ground. This is the North Hills, he said. Your word is truth. I pulled Eve close and kissed her when she came over curiously. She told me my word was truth, then playfully added she'd punish anyone who disagreed. Her loyalty hit 100 on my panel. She's completely mine now. This might actually be love. I interrogated Contus after we made camp. He tried lying at first, claimed the Gold Knight Jack had acted alone without his Lord Martin knowing, just robbing for the trade caravan's money. I smiled and signaled Holland, who pressed a blade against his throat. Contus screamed and promised to tell everything. The real story: his caravan was cutting through Starry Highlands to avoid cross-border import taxes. While camped along the Silver Mist Valley stream, 2 of his men wandered off and stumbled onto a 3rd-rank magic plant, a silver mist tea tree. Then they found seeds from a withered phantom spirit vine nearby. The caravan was thrilled until someone at Jack's checkpoint let the discovery slip. Jack came after them with all his soldiers. So that's why the cloud-light fish were in that stream. The Silver Mist Tea Tree's magical presence created the element-rich environment they need. I asked a couple more questions, then ran Contus through with my sword without warning. He looked down at the blade through his chest, confused, asking why. I told him I was sorry, but these magic plants are too valuable. Fewer people who know, the better. Nothing personal. I ordered all the remaining merchants killed too. The soldiers could split whatever gold they found. Any space rings get turned into me. Back in my tent, I grabbed Eve and told her we'd struck it rich. When I mentioned the Silver Mist Tea Tree, her tired face lit up instantly. Silver Mist Tea heals spiritual sea injuries, boosts mental power on first use, and increases a mage's comprehension. Exactly what she needs to recover from her shattered elemental rings. I promised her unlimited supply. The tree itself is incredible, 5 meters tall, branches covered in silver light. When it matures, the leaves resonate with water elements, and the whole tree gets wrapped in silver mist. Third-rank tea sells for 10 gold per gram, and a mature tree only produces 10 pounds per year. Best of all, production-type magic plants in this world never die of old age. They keep growing, potentially advancing in rank, producing more over time. Every noble family's most treasured assets are ancient magic plants accumulated over generations. I sealed the tree back in its magic preservation box to plant in my future castle. Then I took out an extra space ring from Contus's belongings, slipped it onto Eve's slender finger, and told her to keep it. I gave Eve the space ring after clearing it out. She was touched. I know she's giving me everything in exchange for a chance at revenge, even if the odds seem impossible. But with my cheat system, I just need time. I won't back down from her enemies. The reason I could afford to give away a space ring is that Contus's belongings included something far better, an enormous space bracelet the size of 2 football fields. It was meant for transporting trade goods. That bracelet is also why I killed everyone so quickly and planned to deny the whole thing forever. Every person involved has loyalty above 80 on my panel. No leaks possible. Even better, the bracelet contained 150,000 gold coins in trade funds. I couldn't believe the Starlight Federation was arrogant enough to send such valuable cargo without proper guard escort. What I didn't know was that they actually did have a powerful hidden escort, but my father's Dark Eagle Guard agents, who'd been secretly following me, caught and killed that escort before I even noticed. I just thought I got lucky. Now for the real prize. Eve and I examined the Phantom Spirit Vine seed together. It looked like nothing, a small black lump the size of a pinky tip. But my map showed it glowing brightly, confirming it's genuine. The Phantom Spirit Vine is a legendary rank magic plant artifact. Incredibly rare, with no predictable growth pattern, it drifts invisibly through sky, land, and ocean in phantom form. Nothing physical or magical can touch it unless it reveals itself or goes through its 1,000-year death and rebirth cycle. Only legendary rank power can forcibly capture one. This seed came from such a rebirth, and it hasn't been claimed by anyone yet. Eve suggested I try bonding with it. I cut my finger and dripped blood onto the seed. It vibrated, absorbed my blood, turned white-red like my star Radiance bloodline, and gradually became translucent. After 10 minutes, a faint mental signal appeared in my mind. Hungry, hungry, hungry. Eve jumped up and down with excitement. If this thing grows to maturity, it becomes a legendary-level combat asset. Her revenge would finally be realistic. I crushed a handful of magic crystal stones for it. The seed devoured the energy in 10 seconds flat. No visible change, just continued floating around me in phantom form, demanding more food. I fed it 1,000 more crystal stones. It inhaled those without slowing down at all. I nearly lost my mind. This thing eats gold faster than I can earn it. Eve reassured me that this is only the initial stage. Once I build elemental pools in my territory, the vine can feed on the endless energy streaming from the elemental plane. I screamed the order to pack up and march home immediately. We need those factories and elemental pools built yesterday. My money is evaporating. What I still didn't know, behind the scenes, my father's 2 Dark Eagle Guard agents, Gao and Leighton, had buried not only the Starlight Federation's hidden escort, but also an entire 50-man Silver Combat Squad from Martin's territory that came looking for Jack. They covered all evidence with magic grass growth tools, erased every trace of the battle, and split up. One to follow me, one to report to father. These two have been cleaning up my messes without me ever realizing it. We made it back to the territory that same night. The fields stretched across the plains, 32,000 acres of freshly plowed land with slaves working hard everywhere, genuinely motivated by the workpoint system. They knelt as my column passed, thanking me for my policies. It felt good. At camp, everyone was waiting: Oliver, James, Lisa, and all the managers. Lisa froze when she saw Eve in my arms, unsure how to react. I pulled her in too, kissed her cheek, and that settled it for now. Next morning, I held a full council meeting. James reported spring plowing was complete. All 32,000 acres ready for planting today. The slaves and machinery from Black Forest Company and the Storm Commerce Guild had arrived by large airship yesterday. I also told James to watch for the continuous stream of extraordinary potential slaves I'd arranged with Flo. Oliver reported that 31 more infantry had broken through to silver on their own, bringing the silver count to 83. The family troops were high quality, constantly improving. I checked my full panel. Eve's loyalty is at 100, Archmage potential with legendary rank 8 ceiling. Lisa hit 102, now an apprentice knight with rank 5 potential. James at 95, Mon 95, Oliver 95, Holland 96. The core team is rock solid. I stood and issued formal restructuring orders. Everyone snapped to their feet. The original family infantry becomes the Steel Legion, elite, fully combat-focused, no guard duty, training only. Goal: all silver as fast as possible. The cavalry becomes the Radiance Knight Order, standard equipment of spiral steel armor, enchanted swords, and storm war horses. The 750 new soldiers form the Sentinel Legion for garrison duty across the territory. I created a military affairs bureau with myself as director. Oliver becomes deputy director and Radiance commander. Mon transfers out of my personal guard to lead the Steel Legion. Duran moves from infantry to command the Sentinels. Hans keeps his artillery post. My personal guard gets renamed the Imperial Guard Legion, led by Simon and Holland as co-commanders, to be expanded over time. Then I addressed the factory managers. Paul and his 6 people confirmed they're ready to build. I created an industrial bureau with Paul as director, gave him the newly arrived slaves, and ordered construction to begin immediately. After everyone left, I called in Lamb. The poor guy had been terrified during my absence, afraid I'd forgotten about him, or worse, decided to kill him. His loyalty sat at 75, now silver initial rank with rank 5 potential. Usable. I asked how he used to work as an adventurer. He explained he'd wander into unclaimed areas of various territories, searching for magic plants, supernatural materials, and mineral deposits to sell in Grand City. Basically, stealing from noble lands without getting caught. I stared at him. He quickly looked away. I gave Lamb his assignment. Take 50 bronze soldiers, go back to his old hideout, and build a bandit operation. Rob small merchant guilds and weak trading companies. Send the profits back monthly. I'd add more men later. He grinned and said he might not be good at much, but robbery was his specialty. I gave him an advanced breathing technique and training potions, then warned him, if anyone ever traces his operations back to me, the consequences would be fatal. He swore he'd die before revealing my name. I didn't fully believe him, but his loyalty was at 75 and locked in by the panel. After he left, the phantom spirit vine seed started buzzing around me again. Hungry, hungry, hungry. I dumped 1,000 magic crystal stones for it. 1,000 stones per day just to keep it quiet. I named it Fan, because I couldn't think of anything better. It's bleeding me dry, but if it ever matures into legendary rank power, it'll be worth every coin. I spent the next 2 days comforting Lisa, who was scared about Eve's arrival. I told her she'd always be my personal maid, and I'd never let anyone push her away. She stopped crying. Then Simon reported visitors from the family. In the council hall, I met Gao and a new face, Leighton. Both elemental rank Dark Eagle Guard members. They told me something that made my blood run cold. Father had assigned them to shadow me secretly since the day I left home. That's how Mother knew about the 70,000 gold slave purchase. They'd been watching everything. Then Gao explained what really happened with the merchant caravan I'd robbed. The Starlight Federation had an elemental rank warrior escorting that caravan. He'd only been absent because he spotted a rare, treasure-hunting magical beast and chased after it. The merchant Contus wasn't just begging for his life. He was stalling, waiting for backup. If Gao and Leighton hadn't intercepted the escort, I'd have been captured and ransomed back to father. It got worse. Martin's territory had sent a standard combat squad, 50 peak silver soldiers plus a peak gold knight, that arrived at the battle site shortly after. Gao and Leighton killed them all and buried the evidence too. The final blow: kingdoms, the Starlight Federation, and the Human Alliance all possess magic that can read the memory of the land, replaying events from up to a month ago. If anyone investigated that area before the traces faded, they'd see everything I did. Gao and Leighton had meticulously cleaned every site, planting magic grass seeds to cover all signs. With enough time passing, the evidence would disappear completely. Father's message was clear: stop being reckless. Stop letting greed override judgment. What I did was stupid and nearly catastrophic. I'd been riding high on success and lost my head. Sitting there after they left, I went through shock, horror, self-disgust, and finally cold calm. Father was right. I'd almost destroyed everything because I got cocky. The smooth sailing had made me forget that this world has powers far beyond what I can currently handle. I need to be smarter. Much smarter. After everyone left the hall, I let the mask drop. I laughed bitterly at myself. Nearly killed by an explosion because of arrogance. Nearly destroyed by a mid-sized tribe because I underestimated my enemies. Nearly caught by the Starlight Federation because greed overrode my brain. This isn't a game. I only have one life. From now on, think first, act second. No more blind impulses. I spent 8,000 experience to instantly master gold high rank, pushing myself to peak gold. Then I decided to stay put, build the territory properly, and go hunting for experience only after everything is stable. A week later, I rode through the fields with James. Spring planting was complete across all 32,000 acres. The farm slaves had been separated into 40 agricultural estates with 200 workers each estate getting a promoted overseer with double work points. Factory and mining slaves were reassigned to their proper roles. James calculated our wheat yield, about 1,100 pounds per acre, totaling nearly 16,000 tons per harvest. After the spring wheat comes in mid-August, we plant winter wheat and harvest again in March, roughly 32,000 tons per year. The seeds in this world produce insane yields. No wonder they feed such enormous populations. Grain is so cheap anyone can afford it. I reminded James that food self-sufficiency is the top priority, and magic wheat will be a major income source. I told him to use our small airships for supply runs to Grand City and delegate more through slave overseers instead of doing everything himself. He needs to manage the whole territory's assets, not just the farms. I added new population policies. Beyond the 2 children needed for freedom, every additional child raised to adulthood earns 1 gold coin. Buying breathing techniques gets discounts, 20% off for 1 extra child, 50% for 2, and completely free for 3 extra. This world's freed slaves all rush to learn breathing techniques to become apprentice-level practitioners. It lets them live healthy to 90 or even 100 without aging until 70. My policies squeeze maximum value whether slaves choose the work point path or the childbearing path. And after noticing the work point system had actually reduced marriage enthusiasm, these childbearing bonuses would push it back up. I need both productivity and population growth. I visited the industrial zone next. 21,800 mining and factory slaves were working under 1,000 bronze soldiers' supervision. The small factory buildings were already taking shape. The medium military factory had broken ground. The magic construction machine handled mixing, cutting, vibrating, spraying, and vacuum extraction, all in one unit powered by crystal stones. The speed of supernatural construction was staggering. I didn't go closer since my presence would halt work for formalities. Back at camp, I looked at my wooden cabin and sighed. I must be the most frugal lord on the continent. Still no castle. Lisa laughed and agreed sweetly. She and Eve had become close friends, which I encouraged. I took Lisa to check on the cloudlight fish, kept in boxes inside a guarded cabin since the castle isn't built yet. I put her in charge of feeding them daily with magic wheat, along with a team of maids. She was nervous about handling fish worth thousands of gold each. I told her the fish aren't more important than she is, just follow the routine. That earned me a kiss and a promise to guard them with her life. Then I sent a maid to fetch someone named Arkin. I called in Arkin, the head stableman. and told him I'd be ordering a batch of war horses soon. He should scout the territory's grasslands for a good spot to build a ranch. His 20-man team can handle over 500 tame, magical beast horses at once. In this world, regular horses are useless for anything but pulling city carriages. All war mounts are magically bred beasts ranked by tier. Our kingdom's sequence goes from first-rank breeze horses for cargo wagons, to second-rank gale horses for cavalry, up to third and fourth-rank storm horses for elite riders. Back at my cabin, I fed Fan its daily 1,000 crystal stones. The little parasite just kept floating around me screaming, hungry, in my mind. Still no sign of sprouting. The next day, Flo arrived from the Starlight Federation's United Commerce Guild with a massive caravan. Before showing me his goods, he pulled me aside and asked nervously if I'd heard anything about a missing company from his Commerce Guild. People carrying enormous wealth who vanished somewhere in the ash mineral wilds. The whole guild was being forced to investigate. My heart skipped a beat, but I kept a thoughtful expression and said I'd been buried in territory development with no time to follow frontier news. I hadn't even met a single fellow pioneer lord yet. Flo sighed and complained about wasted time. Then we moved on. His caravan had the usual slaves with extraordinary potential, clean, young, apprentice peak. All good. But then he led me to a magic wagon. Several men in black robes and ruined masks stepped out. They removed their masks, revealing faces tattooed with runes. Sinners, I blurted out before I could stop myself. During the first god-hunting war thousands of years ago, some beings on the Titan continent betrayed their world and sided with the invading gods. After the war, the victorious alliance labeled them all as sinners and exiled them underground by the Titan's decree, sealing their powers for 3 generations. Over millennia, their descendants built underground kingdoms. 5,000 years ago, desperate sinners started smuggling themselves to the surface. The Holy God Emperor took pity and allowed human sinner descendants to buy surface world identity cards, slave tier, citizen tier, or noble gold tier. The underground kings declared this treason punishable by death, but with surface races wanting underground resources, the policy spread across species. The oldest among them, a middle-aged man named Alvis, corrected me firmly, "We're not sinners, my lord. Once we purchased our identities, we ceased being sinners." I darkened my expression and asked who gave him the courage to correct me. He replied calmly, "Because you haven't bought me yet, my lord." I burst out laughing. I liked him immediately. Then I scanned all 5. Alvis, Peak Gold Knight, Rank 8 Potential. Mikhail, Ted, Zach, and Quintus, all mid-gold knights, all Rank 7 Potential. Their affinity scores hovered around 50, neutral but not hostile. Flo smiled and explained these aren't ordinary slaves. They have the right to refuse a buyer. I need to make specific commitments to earn their loyalty. Flo explained the sinner system to me. Unlike born slaves, sinners who bought slave-tier identity cards get to choose their master. If they don't like a lord, they can refuse and move on with the caravan. Once they pledge loyalty, the runes on their faces disappear and they automatically become free citizens. Those who bought citizen-tier cards skip the whole process. No runes, no servitude. Just pick a country and join. Either way, the human alliance profits because every sinner strengthens humanity's total power. Clever system. I told the 5 to state their terms. Alvis, the squad leader, kept it simple. By their 21 family members waiting in Grand City, they all have slave tier cards too. That's it. No other demands. I agreed immediately. If they'd asked for too much or didn't understand their position, I would have walked away. But Alvis was smart enough to see that a newly founded territory with a gold rank squad would treat them well without needing guarantees. He introduced his team, Ted the Bald One, Mikhail, Zach, and Quintus. I activated the Soul Oath Scroll. All 5 knelt and swore loyalty to me. The scroll turned to starlight and merged with the runes on their bodies, dissolving them. I tapped each shoulder with my sword and accepted their service. For now, they'd join my personal guard. I'd give them proper assignments later. I told Flo to get their families here fast. He promised to send an airship as soon as he returned to Grand City. Then we moved to the main purchase, 1,500 extraordinary potential slaves. 1,000 with mid-grade potential, 500 with high-grade. Excellent batch. I also asked Flo about getting elf slaves. He practically rolled his eyes and warned me to forget it. Elves are ironclad allies of humanity. Enslave one, and they show up to kill you, and the human alliance won't lift a finger to help. The elven civilization's military power equals 2 human empires plus 3 kingdoms combined. I quietly dropped that idea and changed my secret goal from elf slave to date an elf and register her in my panel. The end result would be the same. I told Flo to send me exotic beauties from other races when available. He laughed and agreed. Then came the bill. Mid-potential slaves at 50 gold each, high potential at 100,000 total. Alvis cost 10,000, the other 4, 8,000 each. They're 21 family members, 15 bronze at 100 gold each, 5 silver at 200, 1 gold initial at 5,000. Grand total from Flo, 149,500, discounted to 140,000. I asked how much the Human Alliance charges sinners for their identity cards. 5,000 gold worth of supernatural materials for a gold rank knight with family. They sell them cheap, then turn around and let merchants resell at 10 times the price to nobles. The Alliance profits on both ends. I couldn't help myself. I said exactly one word that perfectly expressed my feelings. Flo mentioned there were about 50 more gold rank sinners available across the Ash Mineral Wilds region. That's a significant pool of talent. I sent him to settle the bill with James. After getting the 150,000 gold windfall from the merchant caravan, I'd given James 700,000 to manage all territory expenses. The money was flowing out fast, but the investments were building something real. I had all 1,500 new slaves assembled on the expanded parade ground. Oliver's cavalry watched over them. I climbed the platform and gave my standard speech. Your miserable lives are over. I'm giving you freedom and glory. Now give me absolute loyalty. Their chanting hit 80+ loyalty across the board instantly on my panel. I assigned them all to the Sentinel Legion under Duran and told him I wanted every one of them at bronze within 3 days. Whoever breaks through to silver first gets a special reward. On April 25th, the industrial district was finished. Beautiful spring day, flags flapping in the wind. I rewarded every bronze soldier who helped build it with 50 silver coins and gave all participating slaves 10 work points. I toured the complex with Eve, Lisa, my 7-man guard squad, James, and the entire Industrial Bureau team. The district has 6 factories, 6 warehouses, slave dormitories, and an administrative building. I'd had to send additional airship runs to Grand City for extra materials during construction. I went straight to the military factory. It looked surprisingly similar to factories from my old world. Material smelting section, stamping and forging section, assembly and polishing section. The smelting area can process raw materials including steel. Dozens of stamping machines with precision molds shape armor plates, which then go to assembly, where 50 magic military blacksmiths finish them. Then came the moment I'd been waiting for, the elemental pool. Paul led me underground. Only 2 people allowed inside, and we had to wear special isolation gear that made breathing difficult. We passed through 3 sealed cement doors, then a lapis lazuli door covered in runes. The entire underground chamber was cast from magic lapis lazuli, wrapped in 3 more cement seal layers. Magic crystal lamps hung on the walls, powered permanently by the pool itself, true perpetual motion. In the center sat a 3-meter square pool filled with liquefied elemental energy. At the bottom, a vortex formed by 9 elements swirled around an impossibly black singularity, the connection point to the elemental plane. Elements leak through and get compressed into liquid by the vortex. Runes covering the pool surface connect to invisible mithril wire channels throughout the chamber, transmitting energy upward to the factory's power systems. I almost touched the pool wall, and Paul nearly had a heart attack. Apparently disturbing the elemental balance causes an explosion. Noted. I gave the order to activate. Paul placed a magic crystal core into a rune depression using special gloves. The pool began breathing, expanding and contracting rhythmically. Element liquid seeped into the rune channels, flowed up through the mithril network into the power system, and the gears started turning. 2,000 factory slaves and all the military blacksmiths sprang into action. I asked about production capacity. Paul said they could produce about 3,000 sets of spiral steel plate armor per month running 2 shifts nonstop. I was stunned. That seemed absurdly high. But he explained that armor consumption is astronomical because the enchanting process destroys massive quantities. Empires, kingdoms, and pioneer territories have bottomless demand for spiral steel. The whole human civilization is basically an arms manufacturing machine. Back at camp, I looked at my wooden cabin while slaves were already living in cement houses. My own people have better housing than I do. I'm genuinely the most pathetically frugal lord on this continent. I checked in with Rio from Grand Mining. All mine sites stable, production unchanged. Good. Then I gave orders to the Industrial Bureau. Military factory runs at full capacity. All incoming iron ore gets forged into spiral steel armor, swords, and spears. I need at least 20 to 100 complete sets within 25 days. The other factories run full speed too, especially cement. I'm building my city and castle immediately. I refuse to live in a wooden cabin any longer while my slaves have cement houses. I asked James how many workers were available for construction. After subtracting farm and factory assignments, I had 5,800 mining slaves originally earmarked for the mines. I told him mining can wait. The territory's finances are fine for now. Those slaves plus 50,000 more I'm ordering from Grand City will start building the first city district and a proper military barracks. I handed James my city planning map. He looked at my rough drawing, circles scattered around with zone names scribbled inside, and his mouth twitched slightly. Then he composed himself and praised my brilliant design that perfectly utilizes the hills, plains, and Golden Luo River. I knew he'd redraw everything properly and put my name on it for the municipal. Hull. Smart man. Eve peeked at the map, went completely silent, then caught Lisa's signal and forced out a compliment about my masterful design. Everyone else piled on with praise they clearly didn't mean. The guards were the loudest. I cleared my throat and moved on. I set building standards. Core office district, important personnel housing, and free citizen residences all capped at 5 stories, 3.5-meter ceilings, and the architects had better make it look good. After the meeting cleared out, I was left alone with Eve and Lisa. Eve tried to run when she saw the look on my face. Lisa helpfully intercepted her. What followed stays in the council hall. Later, I received word that Alvis's family members had arrived by airship. I went to greet them and process their freedom. 21 people knelt. I tapped their shoulders with my sword, and the runes disappeared from their faces. Then Alvis introduced his sister Ona, a gold initial rank knight. When she removed her mask, I had to physically control my expression. She's 30 years old, devastatingly beautiful in a mature way completely different from Lisa's cuteness or Eve's ethereal grace. Her figure arguably surpasses even Eve's. Rank 7 potential. Loyalty already at 80. I immediately decided Alvis was definitely going to be my brother-in-law. I assigned Ona to my personal guard and gave the whole Sinner squad a day off to spend with their families. As they walked away, I struggled to keep the grin off my face. I went fishing at the Golden Luo River to relax, a hobby I'd picked up from my old life. I sent Holland to fetch the Dark Eagle guards Gao and Leighton, then set up my chair and rod by the water. The sunlight danced on the surface, the breeze was perfect. An hour passed. Not a single bite. My expression went from peaceful to completely blank. I blamed Simon's bait recipe and told him to develop a new one. He looked like he was about to explode from holding back laughter, but agreed with a straight face. After the failed fishing attempt, I got straight to business with Gao and Leighton. I told them to relay a message to Father. I need elemental hearts. I asked for 500. They were shocked. As far as they knew, I was only gold initial rank. So why would I need elemental hearts already? What they don't realize is that I've secretly advanced to gold high rank through my panel. Unless I fight someone, nobody can tell my real level. Leighton almost told me it was impossible, but Gao cut in first, explaining that the family only produces 10 elemental hearts per day. I smiled. I already knew that. The whole point was to ask big while Father still feels generous. Once my brother officially takes over, free handouts from the family will dry up. I told them to just pass along the request and let Father decide. I checked my full military roster. The Steel Legion has 500 soldiers under Mon, with 182 at Silver. The Radiance Knights are 50 strong, all peak Silver with Gale horses, led by Oliver. The Sentinel Legion has 2,200 fresh bronze soldiers under Duran. Artillery has 50 under Hans. Lamb's Bandit Squad has 50 bronze. My personal guard now numbers 8, 6 mid-gold, 1 peak gold, and 1 initial gold. What I really need elemental hearts for is my own breakthrough to elemental rank. Technically, my panel could substitute extra experience points instead of actual hearts, but that would be wasteful when I have a supply source. Plus, if I ever advanced without using elemental hearts and anyone found out, it would be the most terrifying secret imaginable. No living being in this world can reach elemental rank without them, except races that are born supernatural. My panel guarantees a 100% success rate on every heart fusion, while normal people face failure risks. That advantage alone is enormous for me and everyone under my command. The next day, I took the guard squad on a territory patrol. We rode across the farmlands where wheat seedlings were already sprouting green, through the hills James had named Golden Orchid Hills for the golden flowers growing everywhere, across the grasslands near Ironwood Forest where ordinary animals had started migrating in and forming a new ecosystem. No magical beasts yet, unfortunately. We camped by the Verdant River that night. Meanwhile, Gao video called Father from Grand City's Mage Tower. Father was suspicious. He asked if Gao was certain I was only gold initial. Gao said it shouldn't be possible for me to have reached peak gold so quickly. Father laughed and said I clearly had secrets he didn't know about. Then he told Gao, give Roland 1,000 elemental hearts. But this is the last free support. After this, everything costs money. Even Gao was stunned by that generosity. What Father told the Dark Eagle Guard was partly to create a record that satisfies the family's elder council, since family resources need to be balanced among everyone. But in truth, Father was already heading to the family vault to personally prepare the shipment. No father abandons his son. The next morning, I organized a fishing competition with all 9 of us along the Verdant River. I shamelessly used my map to pick the spot with the most fish. I caught a half-meter silver perch on my first cast while everyone else sat there with deadlines. The guards all praised my incredible fishing skills. I was thrilled. Then I noticed Ona sitting in her chair, chin in hand, staring dreamily at the moonlit water. Even in full armor, she was impossibly attractive. I immediately lost all interest in fishing. I left my rod unattended and moved closer, asking her to tell me about the underground world. Ona reeled in her fishing rod and started telling me about the underground world. No sunlight, filled with terrifying supernatural creatures, constant warfare between sinner nations with no titans to keep order. Many races down there have already gone extinct. As she talked, my guards quietly moved further and further away. Even Alvis, after a moment's hesitation, drifted off with them. I wasn't really listening anymore. At some point my chair had migrated right next to hers. I was staring at her lips. She noticed and asked if I still wanted to hear more. I said yes, leaning in closer, breathing in her faint perfume. When the wind blew a strand of her golden hair across my nose, I lost all restraint. I pulled her onto my lap, held her chin, and told her she'd belonged to me since the moment she swore loyalty. No one could resist her charm, and I wasn't going to pretend otherwise. She pushed against my chest, protesting that she was my guard. But her loyalty had jumped from 80 to 90 since noon. The panel doesn't lie. I kissed her. After a moment, she started kissing back. I pulled away before things went too far. The guards were still watching from a distance. She told me she'd only go further once the castle is built and she has her own room. Fair enough. I asked why she gave in. She looked into my eyes and said, young, handsome, powerful, and with authority. Who could refuse such a man? The real answer didn't matter. She needed stability after years of wandering, and I could give her that. The guards teased Alvis about becoming the Lord's brother-in-law. The bald duo of Holland and Ted asked him to look after them in the future. He was relieved when I walked over and interrupted the ribbing. The next morning, after a sweet breakfast with Ona and a kiss goodbye through her armor, we rode north along the Verdant River toward the Black Gold Ridge mountain range, the largest unexplored part of my territory. The entire mountain range belongs to me according to my registration, stretching from Wolfong Ridge and Wind Rest grasslands down to the Bountiful Forest and Sunset Swamp. At the border with the Bountiful Forest, we stopped to observe. Enormous trees, some 100 meters tall, stretched endlessly. A pristine wilderness. I asked Holland and Simon what lived inside. Simon's face twisted with disgust. Forest goblins. He explained they're revolting creatures that breed with any female they capture, producing bizarre mutant offspring. They lay eggs, dozens per clutch, and the young mature in just 1 month. Survivors reach first rank after a year, second rank after 3. Even second-rank goblins only live 10 years. Most are ordinary or first rank, with very few second rank among them. The moment I heard those numbers, my heart started pounding with excitement. Endless, fast-reproducing, low-level creatures right on my doorstep. This is exactly what my army needs, a nuclear-powered experience farm. I'd been planning to take my troops against Hyena Man tribes for experience, but the mid-sized tribe threat made me delay. Now I don't need to go anywhere. These disgusting little goblins are going to fuel my entire army's advancement. I practically fell in love with them on the spot. I took one last look at the bountiful forest and its endless goblin experience farm, then led the guards toward the Black Gold Ridge Mountains. We checked the sealed crystal mine first, untouched. Good. Then we rode into the mountain range proper. As I dramatically pointed at the peaks and declared the land had finally met its master, Ona smirked and said the welcoming committee had arrived. Over 100 second-rank human-faced vultures came screaming toward us, black-winged, 3-meter wingspan, hideous bald heads that look like twisted human faces. Their screeching alone would knock out ordinary people. My guards surrounded me and Ona. She was annoyed at being protected, but I held her back. I didn't want her covered in blood and guts. 7 gold-rank knights with enchanted swords tore through the flock in seconds. Blood rained from the sky, black feathers drifted everywhere. Not a single vulture got through. The survivors fled deeper into the mountains. Just a minor skirmish. I told Ona I'd kept her back because I didn't want my beautiful big sister getting dirty. She turned red from face to ears, jammed on her helmet, pulled down the visor, and glared at me through the ice slit. Everyone laughed, including her eventually. We spent several days exploring the entire mountain range. The results were disappointing. Almost no supernatural resources or valuable minerals. The kingdom had clearly stripped this place bare before designating it as pioneer territory. No wonder nobody wanted Black Gold Ridge. Barren might not have been lying about it being resource poor after all. I might actually owe him an apology. We found 6 types of magical beasts. Human-faced vultures were everywhere, serving as prey for 4th-rank twin-headed fire dragons. There were also magical twin-horned deer hunted by 4th-rank shadow blade leopards. Plenty of ordinary animals, but nothing worth money. 2 mountain peaks were marked on my map as having 5th-rank beasts. When I got curious and headed toward one, Leighton swooped down from wherever he'd been hiding in the sky and stopped me. Apparently, he'd been steering us away from dangerous beast packs the entire trip without me noticing. I decided to trust his judgment. The mountains aren't worthless, though. The powerful magical beasts could eventually form the core of a specialty knight order, and those 2 5th-rank peaks remain unexplored for the future. We returned to camp at night. I tried sweet-talking Ona into spending the night together. She smiled that devastating smile and reminded me of my promise. Not until the castle is built and she has her own room. I tried a workaround plan instead. I got back to my expanded wooden cabin very late. James had added several bedrooms and bathrooms while I was gone. I'm honestly a terrible noble when it comes to personal comfort. Every other pioneer lord builds their castle first, while I built a city and factory district. My family's castle furniture and decorations are still collecting dust in storage. Lisa was waiting with my favorite coffee. We chatted about the cloud-light fish while I wound down from the expedition. On April 30th, I held a morning military briefing. The Sentinel Legion is now fully bronze. The Steel Legion has broken through 230 silver soldiers. Everything's on track. I told them we'd be marching on the bountiful forest in 20 days. Then during the meeting, Fan started screaming in my head, "Hungry, hungry, hungry." But this time it sent a new message. One more feeding and it would sprout. I nearly cried. In just over 20 days, this bottomless pit has eaten 25,000 magic crystal stones. That's the equivalent of 250 million in old world currency. On a pet. Absolutely insane. I rushed back to my room and called in Eve, Lisa, and Ona. I dumped out the crystal stones and Fan dove in happily. Lisa and Ona had never seen it before. I had Eve tell them the edited story of how I discovered it in the wild, leaving out the part about the murdered merchant caravan. The fewer people who know about that, the better. Watching my 3 closest people chatting together made me happy. They're my inner circle in this world. When Fan finished absorbing the last stone, it started vibrating rhythmically. Eve gasped. It was sprouting. Everyone crowded in to watch. The seed's surface burst with rainbow light, shifted from phantom to physical form, and the shell dissolved inward, revealing a tiny transparent sprout surrounded by elemental halos. The sprout grew rapidly to 1.5 meters of vine, pulled its light inward, stretched to 2 meters, then phased back into phantom form. And immediately, hungry, I almost lost it. All that effort and money, and it's still useless and still demanding food. Eve laughed and told me to be patient. It needs to root in an elemental pool and grow for at least a year before reaching authority rank power. How long until legendary depends on how many death and rebirth cycles it went through before I found it. I told them to keep chatting and took Fan to the factory district's elemental pool. After passing through the 3 cement doors and the lapis lazuli door alone, I released Fan inside. It circled the pool excitedly, swaying back and forth. Then it plunged its phantom roots straight into the singularity at the pool's center, the connection point to the elemental plane. Its vine body locked into position above the pool and began rhythmically expanding and contracting as it drank in the 7 types of elemental energy, flowing endlessly from another dimension. The factory's power supply wasn't affected at all. The pool still transmitted energy normally. I told Fan to work hard. I'm counting on using it to slap whoever I want someday. It wiggled its vine body as if agreeing. I sealed everything back up, dismissed Paul, and went to the council hall to summon Gao. Gao brought Father's answer. 1,000 elemental hearts, double what I asked for. But this is the last free support. Everything after this costs money. I expected that. With the heir already chosen, the family can't keep pouring resources into a branch son forever. The hearts would arrive in about 10 days. I visited the construction site where 5,800 slaves and 2,000 bronze soldiers were building the first city district between the Central Hills and the Golden Luo River. James reported that the 50,000 new slaves I'd ordered were arriving tomorrow by 10 large airships. The next day, Doug from Black Forest Company showed up with his fleet, somehow even fatter than before. I genuinely don't understand how a silver rank knight gets that round. 50,000 young, healthy slaves, 2-to-1 male-to-female ratio. Cost me 250,000 gold. They're primarily for castle and city construction, then they'll transition to farming, especially the massive magic wheat fields I'm planning. I had James set up their camp near the Central Hills, then sent Mon's Steel Legion to guard them until management was sorted. I'm stretched thin on soldiers again. The territory is expanding faster than my military can cover. 3 days later, everything was organized. I requisitioned Ona's Storm War horse along with mine to pull the noble war chariot. First time using it since we arrived. I brought Lisa, Eve, and Ona along as we rode to the construction site. I didn't bother with a speech for the slaves this time. The novelty has worn off after doing it so many times. I just said, begin, and James gave the order. The castle plans are enormous, designed from my descriptions, drawn by Eve. The complex covers both Central Hills plus over 20 hectares of surrounding land. The main keep on the hilltop will stand 62 meters tall on a 15,000 square meter footprint. The full complex includes a secondary fortress, magic plant gardens, warehouses, laboratories, library, guard barracks, conference halls, servant quarters, prison, armory, underground elemental pool chamber, beast stables, airship dock, banquet hall, guest reception building, and an elemental forge tower. Total cost to complete, over 3 million gold. That's Viscount-level construction, way beyond what a pioneer lord or baron should attempt. But I figure I'll build the frame and main keep first, then fill in everything else gradually. With farmland, city district, and castle all under construction simultaneously, I finally had nothing urgent to manage. For the first time since crossing over, I could actually relax. I took the chariot across the Golden Luo River to the undeveloped half of the Central Plain. Endless wildflowers bloomed across the landscape. This entire area will become magic wheat fields. Ordinary wheat yields so much that a tiny fraction of my land can feed millions. The rest goes to the real money crop. I asked Ona to tell me more about the underground world. She teased me about whether I really wanted to listen this time. I raised an eyebrow. After a brief correction, she behaved and started talking properly. Ona told me about the underground world as we rode. 7 kingdoms signed peace treaties, ending the constant wars. But people still flee to the surface because of resources, not freedom like she first claimed. The underground has far fewer mage towers to produce elemental hearts, and all mineable veins are monopolized by a handful of families and kings. As populations grew, more gold-rank warriors than the system could support started buying their way topside. I asked why they chose my territory instead of established nobles in the kingdom. Ona grabbed my head and shook it, laughing at me for being dense. It was obvious. My eternal Count family background made me attractive, but being a brand new pioneer territory meant gold-rank fighters would get important positions right away. Big established nobles already have plenty of gold knights. I'd been undervaluing what Flo did for me. Out of roughly 50 gold-rank sinners in the entire Ash Mineral Wilds, he'd steered 5 to me, plus Ona. I owed him more business. We camped by a small lake on the plains. For 2 glorious days, I did nothing productive. We fished, grilled, chased each other around, played card games with the guards, swam races with Holland and Ted in the lake, and I tried doing somersaults by the water like a complete fool. No pressure, no scheming, no hunger for power. Just a young man enjoying life. Meanwhile, things were moving that I didn't know about. Father's support package was arriving at Grand City. And in Wolffang Ridge, a hyena man named Hobbikin, Hork's older brother, returned home to discover his father killed by Hork and Hork killed by humans. Grief-stricken, he pledged loyalty to a large tribe's chief in exchange for the right to conquer all of Wolffang Ridge. He wants unification and revenge. On the 3rd day, while lazily crossing the plains, my map suddenly lit up with a new resource marker. I jumped up and had Ona drive toward it. A pride of nearly 33rd-rank Thunder War lions led by a 4th-rank Lion King were hunting across my plains. These are magnificent magical beasts with lightning powers, exactly the kind of elite mounts I'd been dreaming about. I ordered immediate capture. Gao and Leighton flew at the pride like arrows. The Lion King erupted with elemental rank power, and the entire pride launched a combined lightning attack. A massive thunder spear formed from 28 lions' combined electrical energy, guided by the king's strength. Leighton laughed and slapped the spear out of the air with a giant flaming battle energy palm. 3 seconds of contact, and the lightning dissolved. Simultaneously, Gao wrapped every lion in earth element chains. The whole pride was subdued in moments. Leighton drew his greatsword, walked up to the Lion King, and gave it a simple choice: accept a soul contract or die. Right now? The king's intelligent eyes flickered with hesitation, but when Gao approached from the other side with his own blade, the decision was made. The king roared once, and the entire pride stopped struggling. Eve, who'd been preparing a spell in the background, dispersed her magic with a frustrated sigh. She muttered that once she recovers her archmage strength, she won't be this useless. I hugged her and told her to be patient. The Silver Mist tea is helping, but the gap between high rank and archmage is enormous. I signed the soul contract with the Lion King. The scroll dissolved into purple light connecting us, and my panel absorbed the bond immediately. The king appeared in my army roster: Thunder War Lion King, 4th rank, rank 8 potential, loyalty 93. The entire pride registered at companion level. I named the king Purple Lightning, climbed onto his 3-meter-tall, 5-meter-long back, and shouted for everyone to head home. I didn't dare activate his flight mode. Getting zapped by friendly lightning would be embarrassing, but riding him across the grassland with the whole pride sprinting alongside was the greatest feeling I've had in this world. Riding Purple Lightning back to camp caused a massive commotion. An elemental rank Lion King as a mount. Everyone went wild. Purple Lightning and the pride loved the attention too, roaring proudly. I couldn't resist parading them through both construction sites and the factory district for extra cheering. Even magical beasts are vain, apparently. I called an Archon about the horse ranch. He said Silver Moon Grassland was ideal, but it's on the territory's edge and needs more guards and workers. I just bought 50,000 slaves for construction and still don't have enough people. I told him to shelve the ranch for now and just build a temporary shelter at camp to house the lions. Feed them meat every meal. I sent James to order yet another batch of extraordinary potential slaves from Flo, plus food and supplies. The provisions the family gave us, meant for 6,000 people for a year, were vanishing fast with nearly 70,000 mouths to feed. Everyone gets full meals with meat because starving workers produce nothing. This world's food system is actually brilliant. Legendary and divine rank mages research high-yield crops for commoners. Abundant food plus magic industry plus the childbearing freedom policy creates an endless cycle of population growth, which produces more extraordinary warriors, which strengthens humanity overall. These nobles aren't the short-sighted idiots from fantasy novels back home. I realized my to-do list keeps growing instead of shrinking. I need an administrative team desperately, someone for internal governance, commerce, livestock, mining, free citizen recruitment, economics. James is great at managing money and slaves, but can't run an entire territory's civil administration. I finally understood why so many emperors in history became puppet rulers or lazy kings. Handling all this daily is exhausting. The ones who kept at it were truly exceptional. I decided the responsible thing to do was go play blindfolded tag with my ladies. The next day, I rode Purple Lightning to the military camp with my guards, all mounted on Thunder Lions, their new standard equipment. These third-rank beasts all have 7th-rank potential and will easily advance to 4th rank, matching elemental-level humans. 3 cavalry knights had just broken through to gold rank. I sparred with them to celebrate, then ate lunch with the troops, chatting casually with different soldiers. Building personal connections matters. Back at the council hall, I reviewed my forces. The Steel Legion has 295 silver soldiers now. The Radiance Knights have 3 gold, and the rest at peak silver. The Sentinel Legion is all bronze initial. Lamb's Bandit Squad has grown to 134 members, plus 28 Thunder Lions and Purple Lightning. It's not enough. I don't even meet the minimum requirements for a Baron yet. In this world, Baron status requires a small city with a castle, 500 gold rank soldiers, 10,000 silver troops, multiple elemental rank fighters in your territory, and the Lord must personally be elemental rank. That's just lower Baron. Mid Baron doubles everything, upper Baron doubles again. Most pioneers on the established Black Pine Plain have been developing for over 20 years and are only at Baron level. Nobody on Starry Highlands has reached Baron yet. The Black Pine Lords don't even bother socializing with us. We're beneath their notice. I'd been thinking they avoided me because I had no castle for hosting. Turns out they just consider pioneers without Baron-level strength not worth their time. 1 year to Baron, 5 years to Viscount. That's my goal. 5 days later, the Elemental Hearts arrived, but not just with Gao and Leighton. My uncle Irish Augustus came personally. He's father's younger brother, a peak authority rank powerhouse, over 2 meters 20 tall, with golden hair and a commanding face. He's an elder on the family council and watched me grow up. The moment he hugged me, he saw right through my power concealment. Gold peak already, he said, genuinely impressed. Gao and Leighton were stunned. They'd had no idea. I'd been silver high rank when I left home, hiding my growth from 2 elemental rank guards for months, and getting caught in seconds by my uncle was humbling. Uncle Irish said he'd recently killed a powerful enemy in the underground sea and brought me a belated coming-of-age gift. He handed me a sealed rune box. Inside was an elemental weapon, a golden war hammer, 1.5 meters long, forged from a single piece of elemental steel, covered in mithril rune arrays. The hammerhead pulsed with purple lightning, automatically condensing thunder elements from the air. It was breathing. This is a divine weapon embryo. With enough growth, it can evolve all the way to a god-tier weapon. Even emperors and grand princes would covet something like this. I tried to refuse. It was too valuable. Uncle waved me off and said it's just the starting stage with a long road ahead and no guarantee of success. I sealed the box with my blood, stepped back, and bowed from my heart. No words were enough. That night we held the biggest feast the territory had ever seen. All slaves got a day off. Military personnel could drink. I got drunk with Uncle Irish for the first time in this life. Later that night, after everyone else had gone, Uncle pulled me aside privately. The war hammer wasn't actually his gift. It was Father's private treasure, sent through Uncle to avoid the family elder council's scrutiny. Father couldn't give it directly without triggering political complications within the family. Uncle's real gift was a space ring containing 2 rare resources, a miracle light that awakens special talents during elemental advancement, and an abyss crystal seed that doubles the battle energy seed's capacity during the same breakthrough. Both are standard equipment for main family members advancing to elemental rank. things that even count-level families below ours can barely dream of obtaining. As someone who's already branched off from the family, I technically have no right to receive these for free. Uncle hugged me hard and said he'd be waiting for my Barren promotion banquet. Then he flew away into the night. The next morning, I showed the hammer to my 3 ladies. I couldn't resist posing dramatically, declaring myself Holy Emperor Roland, and demanding they worship me. Ona ordered an attack. All 3 piled on me with tickle warfare. After the laughing subsided, I confirmed seriously that yes, this really is a weapon that can evolve infinitely toward divine rank. Looking at the hammer, the miracle light, the crystal seed, and the 1,000 elemental hearts, something shifted inside me. Father gave me a priceless treasure while protecting me from family politics. Uncle delivered it as his own gift and added irreplaceable resources from his own dangerous expedition. Neither of them knows I have a cheat system. They're supporting me purely out of love, expecting nothing in return. For the first time since crossing over, I truly accepted this family as my own. The warmth I felt wasn't performed or strategic. It was real. I was riding purple lightning through the farmlands with James when he reported our agricultural status. 82,000 acres plowed, with 29,000 in wheat, 3,000 in magic wheat, and 10,000 in vegetables. 40,000 acres sitting empty because we ran out of seeds. I made a big decision. All magic wheat goes to the west bank of Golden Luo River from now on. Once the castle construction slaves finish building, they all transfer to farming. I ordered James to buy 160 plow machines and the same number of harvesters from the Storm Commerce Guild. I want 300 million acres of farmland by year's end. That needs 100,000 farm slaves. I told him to order Doug to deliver them with an exact 50-50 male-to-female ratio. The farming is secondary. These slaves exist to produce population for me. James panicked about money, but I told him not to worry. There's a reason I haven't started mining yet. With the windfall from Contus, plus untouched mines, we have plenty of reserves. After all planned expenses, the territory still has about 1.64 million gold. Then a messenger interrupted. Someone had arrived at camp. What actually happened? Leighton burst out of his cabin and stared at the sky. A massive silver fireball was streaking toward us from the hills like a comet. It stopped over camp in under 30 seconds. Inside the flames floated a blurred figure radiating terrifying power. Domain rank mage, Leighton couldn't even move. My entire military force scrambled out of barracks and formed battle lines. Oliver led the cavalry forward without hesitation, ready to charge a being that could annihilate the whole territory with one spell. That kind of courage deserves recognition. The figure spoke, not bad morale. Tell Roland to come see me. I'm his aunt. Oliver's fierce expression collapsed into awkward coughing. He immediately disbanded the formation and sent riders to fetch me. I galloped back completely confused. I didn't know I had an aunt. And she's a domain rank mage? Nobody told me this. I dismounted below the fireball and called out a respectful greeting. The figure descended, flames dissolving to reveal a woman in black robes with a face veil, only her emerald green eyes visible. She looked me over for a long time, then said, "Find somewhere to talk." In the council hall, she explained. Her name is Gwynleth. She's not Mother's blood sister. They're like sisters, bonded by deep friendship. Mother heard that the family was cutting off my protection after the elemental heart's delivery, so she wrote to Gwynleth asking her to bring me defensive scrolls. Gwynleth handed me a space ring. Before I could check its contents, she delivered Mother's message. Don't get anyone pregnant. Mother is already selecting a wife for me. Once I reach Barren status, she'll arrange the marriage. She poked my forehead playfully and said Mother had never asked anyone for a favor before in her life. Don't make her regret it. She walked toward the door and dissolved into shimmering fragments mid-step. A sixth circle spell called Mirror Shadow. She'd never actually been here physically. Mages are unbelievably cool. The ring contained 10 scrolls. All sixth circle. Each one equals a full power attack from a domain rank mage. 6 attack spells, 2 defense, 2 teleportation. These aren't just weapons, they're deterrents. Pulling one out would force any force without an elemental rank army to surrender immediately. I thanked Oliver and the Radiance Knights for their bravery. I promised every knight a house in the new city district and pledged to cover the costs of bringing their families to the territory. But privately, I'd made a critical decision. I need to advance to elemental rank immediately. Gao and Leighton are loyal to the family, not to me personally. If a domain rank enemy showed up, they wouldn't die for me. They'd retreat and report. My own knights charged without hesitation against impossible odds because they serve me directly. It's time to say goodbye to the family's protection and stand on my own. I sat in the meditation room, the one Eve normally uses, holding 7 elemental hearts in my hands. Water, fire, earth, wind, light, dark, and thunder. Every advancing warrior must choose one element as their main focus. I chose thunder. With my Thunder War Hammer and Thunder Lion King, I'd become a thunder god. I activated the panel. My star-breathing technique kicked in automatically, and the elemental hearts began dissolving into my body. My battle energy seed pulsed wildly, absorbing the massive influx of elements. Cold sweat poured down my face from the pain. Then my bloodline power surged up from deep within, combining with all 7 elements to form 8 luminous rings around my battle energy seed, creating an 8-pointed star formation. The instant it formed, my seed began dissolving. I immediately crushed the miracle light and the abyss crystal seed. White light wrapped around the elemental rings while the crystal seed doubled my battle energy capacity. The breakthrough created a colossal elemental vortex spanning 7 kilometers, pulling in elements and starlight from the sky. Everyone outside, my women, guards, Dark Eagle agents, all territory leadership, stared at the swirling colors in shock. Gao and Leighton said they'd never seen anything like it. Even my genius brother Soul had only generated a 6-kilometer vortex. When the vortex vanished, I burst through the ceiling of my wooden cabin and flew into the sky. Actually flew. I hovered there with my arms spread wide, grinning like a madman. Lisa jumped up and down cheering below. Eve looked up with genuine worship. Even Ona was visibly affected. My panel showed the results. Lifespan jumped to 300 years. I'm now an elemental 8-star knight in purification phase. The 8 stars came from perfectly fusing all 7 elemental hearts, plus 1 from my bloodline. Each additional type doubles your energy storage and adds 1 point of strength. The Abyss Crystal Seed doubled my base capacity on top of that. My total energy reserves and strength now equal Gao's 8-core level, and I just advanced. Factor in my elemental weapon, and I can already beat him. The cost was steep, 63,500 experience for the perfect fusion alone, where standard advancement costs only 500. But the power difference is astronomical. A normal 1-core elemental knight has a base energy of 10. Mine is 2,560, with strength rating of 8 instead of 1. The gap between a well-resourced noble's advancement and a commoner's is genuinely terrifying. No wonder noble families stay powerful forever. Then I spend another 50,000 experience to instantly purify my elemental formation into pure thunder element, a process that normally takes 6 months to a year. The moment purification completed, thunder exploded from my body. I pulled it back within a meter, perfectly controlled thanks to the panel. At the center of my formation, the miracle light is still glowing, slowly incubating my unique talent. Once I nurture it with enough thunder energy, it'll awaken. Finally, I took out Father's gift, the Thunder War Hammer. I coated it with my elemental battle energy, dripped blood onto the hammerhead, and watched it shrink, turn translucent, and shoot into my heart as a stream of light. It settled into the center of my elemental formation, orbiting the talent incubation sphere. It needs thunder nourishment to grow too. I have 63,640 experience left. My reserves are thinner than I'd like, but the power I gained today is beyond anything I imagined. Time to go hunting goblins. The next day, I took my ladies flying. Lisa and Ona screamed with excitement. Eve rolled her eyes and reminded them that if they trained hard enough, they could all fly too. I zapped us across the sky as a bolt of lightning to a mountaintop behind the crystal mine. The view was gorgeous. We stayed the night up there. Back at camp the following morning, I went to the meditation room. My talent was ready to emerge. The miracle light at the center of my thunderstar formation pulsed with color, making my heart pound uncontrollably. It stopped for 3 terrifying seconds, then resumed as the light condensed into a silver-purple transparent key wreathed in starlight and lightning. Star Key, my unique talent. Every time I advance to a new life stage, It unlocks a new star type or thunder type ability. Other great noble children get one talent at birth. I get a new one with every breakthrough. Absolutely broken. The first ability, Star Leap. A 500-meter instant teleport. I tested it and blinked from the meditation room straight into the military camp. The knights nearly jumped out of their armor when I materialized in front of them. I leaped back just as easily. It's basically a flash ability from video games. I upgraded my Star Swordsmanship to Star Hammer Technique. The family's combat art works with any weapon. Second tier, Perfect Mastery. Only costs 600 experience. 3 combat moves that should be plenty for now. Then I challenged Leighton to a sparring match in the sky. He was eager to test an 8-ring prodigy. He launched first, a 20-meter flaming greatsword screaming toward me. I swung my Thunder Hammer and activated Star Dome Barrier. A 5-meter long, 3-meter thick wall of silver-purple energy materialized in front of me. The fire sword smashed into it with a deafening explosion. When the light faded, both his sword and my barrier had shattered simultaneously. Leighton and Gao were stunned. He's a 9-core elemental knight. I'm technically 1 core. We just traded evenly on raw power. I laughed and told him it was my turn. I activated Star Leap, vanished completely, and reappeared at his side with a Thunder Hammer strike, so fast he barely raised his sword to block. The impact blasted him downward like a meteor. He almost cratered before catching himself with fire energy. I called them both on at once. Then I summoned Purple Lightning, who came roaring from camp with lightning wings crackling. Now that I'm Thunder Element myself, his electricity can't hurt me. I mounted up midair. Leighton went all out. Eyes turning to literal flames, 100 condensed fire swords launched at me simultaneously. Gao created a massive earth element hand trying to grab me. Both attacks arrived perfectly synchronized. I shook my head with fake disappointment. Can't hit me, Star Leap. I wrapped Purple Lightning in the teleport, and we appeared behind both of them instantly. Before they could react, I gently tapped each one with my hammer. You lose. Purple Lightning roared triumphantly beneath me, even though he hadn't actually done anything. I stood on his back in the sky, hammer raised, laughing. At 1 core, I already match 8 core veterans in raw stats. Add the Star Leap teleport, the elemental weapon, and perfect panel-granted control. I'm beyond anything they can handle. This is what 8-star elemental advancement looks like. This is what being an Augustus with full family resources feels like. The gap between a properly backed noble and an ordinary warrior isn't a difference. It's a chasm. The Steel Legion hit full silver by May 12th. The Radiance Knights went all gold by the 18th. The Sentinel Legion got fully equipped with spiral steel gear. Everything was ready. On May 19th, Eve sat in my lap in the meditation room and told me her strength had recovered. I checked. Archmage, 5 elemental rings, combat type. No lasting damage. She knelt before me and introduced herself as Eve Roland. She'd taken my name as her surname. I was genuinely moved. I held her and swore again that I'd avenge her family. She cried a little, then smiled, and said she wasn't obsessed with the past anymore. Her future was only me. The next morning, I held the final war council. James reported the city district had over 20 completed 5-story buildings. The administrative office was going up next to the castle, and the castle's outer walls were sealed. I told him to keep pushing and use freedom incentives for the slaves if needed. Oliver reported all military targets met. Everyone was eager to march. I gave the orders. The Steel Legion, Radiance Knights, and my guard squad, minus Alvis, who stays behind, deploy with me. The Sentinel Legion pulls off construction duty to handle territory defense. Artillery stays at camp. James gets full authority over the territory while I'm gone. I told Eve and Lisa to pack up. This time I'm bringing the full noble entourage. Maids, manservants, cooks, the war chariot. I've been riding Purple Lightning like some barbarian warlord for too long. Time to act like proper nobility again. Ona hugged me and asked why we're going after goblins. She's sharp enough to know there must be a deeper reason. I refused to explain. The panel stays secret from everyone, even people at 100 loyalty. She pouted and tried bribing me with a rather bold promise. I declined the explanation, but absolutely accepted the promise. At 1 in the afternoon, the army assembled. The Radiance Knights led the column. 50 gold rank riders in full spiral steel plate with enchanted great swords. still on second-rank Gale horses since the storm horses I ordered through Uncle haven't arrived yet. Behind them, 500 silver infantry in matching steel armor with spears and javelins, formed in perfect ranks. I appeared before them on purple lightning in a flash of lightning. The cheering was thunderous. An elemental rank lord inspires something deep, especially when the panel steadily builds loyalty over time. These soldiers would genuinely die for me. I shouted 2 words, "Victory! March!" They roared it back 3 times. The column moved out toward the bountiful forest. After the dramatic entrance, I quietly climbed into my luxurious war chariot. I'm not going to ride a lion for days when I have a mobile mansion with comfortable seats. That would just be suffering for no reason. What kind of noble does that? Meanwhile, things I didn't know about were unfolding. In Wolfang Ridge, Hork's brother Hobbikin had finished absorbing several small tribes and was planning to invade my territory, but through the bountiful forest instead of a direct approach, hoping to catch me off guard. In Torrent Valley, the neighboring Lord Martin discovered a gold mine right on the border with my territory and decided to mine it secretly. And back at the family estate, Gao and Layton's report about my 8-ring elemental advancement sent shockwaves through the entire Augustus family and beyond. The news spread across the Storm Kingdom's noble circles. For the first time, the name Roland Augustus entered the awareness of the kingdom's great aristocratic houses, and countless mid-level noble families started taking interest in me. We camped at the edge of the bountiful forest overnight. In the morning, we marched in, Radiance Knights leading, Steel Legion behind, my entourage in the middle. 30 minutes into the forest, a scout galloped back, reporting a goblin camp 3 kilometers ahead. I grinned and ordered Oliver to surround them with the Radiance Knights. Not a single one escapes. 20 minutes later, we arrived at a massive treeless area covered in giant colorful mushrooms, 5 to 6 meters tall, trunks too wide for 3 people to wrap their arms around, caps spread like umbrellas. Tens of thousands of them, forming an incredible landscape. Thick fungal carpet grew underneath, with paths the goblins had stomped through the growth. The goblins themselves were hideous, under a meter tall, dark green skin, pointed ears, mouths full of yellow teeth, wearing nothing but crude leaf wraps. Some had bizarre, misshapen body parts. Lisa shrieked and begged not to have to fight. I told her she needs combat experience to grow stronger. Doesn't she want to serve me for her whole life? She reluctantly agreed. The camp was already destroyed, and all 28,000 goblins were kneeling in surrender. Oliver's knights had used a legion technique to flatten the camp, and every goblin immediately gave up. 5 squads of first-rank goblins found foraging in the mushroom forest were captured too, along with a fleeing second-rank chief. The camp itself was revolting, crude stick shelters surrounded by piles of waste. The stench drove me right back outside. I had the second-rank chief brought to me. It was taller than the others, about 1.5 meters. A knight kicked its legs out, and it dropped to its knees, screaming not to be killed. It called itself Luke and offered to have goblins harvest mushrooms for me. Apparently human merchants actually trade for these mushrooms. I scanned it. Luke, -30 affinity, 3rd rank potential. Hostile. I scanned the entire goblin crowd. Not a single one had positive affinity. Every last one harbored hatred. I abandoned my idea of keeping any in my panel to manage a mushroom farm. I had Ted fetch a mushroom sample. The big bald idiot came back, carrying an entire 6-meter mushroom over his head. Everyone burst out laughing. He scratched his head confused. I sent it to the cooks. Then I turned cold. I ordered all first-rank goblins separated out. Kill everything else. I blasted Luke with a thunderbolt, leaving it twitching on the ground, and told Lisa to finish it. She took the sword from Ona with trembling hands. The big sister guided her grip and helped her thrust the blade into Luke's heart. Green blood sprayed out. Lisa ran to the side and dry heaved. I forced myself not to look at her. She needs this. She's been living in a bubble, only focused on serving me, never seriously training. With her average talent, she'll never reach elemental rank without being pushed. Eve went over, patted her back, and asked playfully whether she still wanted to become a court lady someday. Didn't she want to stay by my side for hundreds or even thousands of years? Lisa stopped retching instantly. She grabbed the sword, ran back to Luke's corpse, and started hacking at it furiously. Motivation acquired. I let Lisa hack at Luke's corpse until she'd worked through her emotions. Eve cleaned her up with a spell, and the three women comforted each other. Their bond is getting stronger through shared experiences. The slaughter began. The Radiance Knights guarded the corralled first-rank goblins while the Steel Legion systematically speared through the rest. 26,000 ordinary goblins against 500 silver-rank soldiers in spiral steel armor. It wasn't even a fight. Mon directed the formation to prevent any escapes. I watched from a distance, sipping mushroom soup. The soup was actually incredible. My head chef Fenta had prepared it from the giant, colorful mushrooms. I'd been skeptical, bad memories of eating wild mushrooms on a trip in my old life. But it was rich, savory, with layers of forest flavors and a pleasant texture from the crushed mushroom pieces. Nearly supernatural-grade food. I named them rainbow mushrooms. Another territory specialty, and I've already mentally claimed the entire bountiful forest as mine. My ladies and guards joined me with their own bowls, casually sipping soup, while watching goblins being massacred in the background. Peaceful afternoon. When it was over, Mon reported all 26,000 ordinary goblins eliminated. I told them to release the 2,000 first-rank survivors, and said we'd return in 1 month. Mon and Oliver exchanged confused looks, but followed orders without question. They don't understand why I'm doing this, but their advancing speed will eventually answer their questions. I checked the panel. 26,000 kills generated massive experience. A Silver Knight needs 2,000 points to advance 1 level. This single tribe's annual output could level up 156 silver soldiers, and combined with their own training, that timeline shrinks dramatically. The Augustus family needs 3 years to advance 1 Silver Knight a single rank. I can do it in months by farming goblins. The surviving goblins celebrated the moment we appeared to leave. They dragged corpses back as food. Goblins prefer meat over mushrooms. Then they brought out captured female animals from underground and started their post-disaster breeding frenzy. Eve and I flew overhead, invisible, watching it all. 2,000 goblins reproduce at least 100,000 per clutch, but their lazy parenting causes extreme infant mortality. Most die and become food for survivors. If I could find obedient goblin leaders to manage proper breeding under my direction, provide them basic feed, enforce discipline, the output would become nuclear-powered experience generation. Breed, mature, harvest, repeat. I sent the Radiance Knights deeper into the forest to find more goblin settlements. What I didn't know was that deep in the bountiful forest's interior, something enormous was happening. A massive cleared area held an entire city built by forest barbarians, a humanoid civilization with stone and wood buildings. The Goblin King had surrounded this city with over 1 million first-rank goblins, 100,000 third-rank great goblins, 10,000 fourth-rank goblin warriors, and 500 elemental-rank goblin lords. The forest barbarians were equally powerful, fighting a brutal siege war with casualties every second. Then a figure wreathed in brilliant light appeared above the battlefield, projecting domain rank power across the entire war zone.